Sid and Friends in the morning. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I'm sorry, Sid. Hi.
Oh, God, don't be sorry. You kidding me?
No, I'm wrapped up in these meetings on peace. And I said, it's between peace and Sid Rosenberg. And I said, let's take Rosenberg, okay? So
I'm grateful, I'm honored, I'm pleasured to introduce the 45th and 47th President of the United States of America, President Donald J. Trump.
Jackson, I'd like to know, is there any woman in the audience that thinks they can tackle that guy? Because I'd like to meet you. I'd like to shake your hand. I don't know. Jackson, you think you could play against women okay? Do you think you'd have any problem? I don't think so. But don't get involved, Jackson. Don't get involved, Jackson. Don't answer that question. No, I'm looking at the legs of you. This beautiful guy's got legs like tree trunks. This is not a good thing for women. This would not be good. No, it's no good.
So I'm going to work with the whole group in New York. We're going to work with Mike. Mike Lawler's fantastic. He's fantastic. He is a fantastic. I call him Mr. Salt. He didn't stop. He wouldn't stop. He was driving us crazy. We have to get salt. We have to get salt back. And he got it back. And he's a terrific guy. And you're lucky to have him. I'll tell you. He loves you. He loves this place. Mike. Great, Mike.
Marathon peace talks between the United States and Iran appear to have no clear finish line. Over the weekend, President Trump signaled an agreement could be close. Well, that appears even less certain. The president announced a new diplomatic demand calling on Saudi Arabia and 5 other Muslim-majority countries to join the Abraham Accords, normalizing relations with Israel as part of a possible peace deal with Iran. Our Nicole Killian has been following the latest developments and leads us off from the White House. Nicole.
Good evening to you, Jerika. President Trump says there could be a great deal or no deal at all. But one thing is clear. Despite a lot of anticipation over the holiday weekend, neither side seems to be in a rush right now to get one done.
On this Memorial Day, President Trump paid tribute to the 13 service members killed in Operation Epic Fury as part of the war with Iran.
These incredible men and women gave their lives to ensure that the world's #1 state sponsor of terror will never have a nuclear weapon. Oh, and they won't. They will never have a nuclear weapon. I'm sure you know that.
As the U.S. and Iran look for a way out of the nearly 3-month conflict, sources tell CBS News a tentative agreement would require Iran to immediately reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and the U.S. would then lift its naval blockade. Tehran would also commit to disposing its stockpile of enriched uranium in exchange for potential sanctions relief, but negotiations over its nuclear program would occur at a later stage. The Iranian said no deal is imminent. U.S. officials said sign-off from the supreme leader could take days. CBS News has learned he's holed up at an undisclosed location and must rely on a system of couriers to get information in and out.
What this agreement will do is take us back really to the pre-war status quo.
Democrats and even some of Trump's GOP allies remain skeptical of a potential deal, with his former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo calling it not remotely America first. The president hit back, calling them losers.
Any agreement with Iran that isn't subject to ratification by Congress is I think, going to be doomed to fail.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio said a solid proposal is on the table.
And the president's not going to make a bad agreement. So let's see what happens.
Secretary Rubio said the U.S. could explore other alternatives if talks with Iran break down. The president is laying out additional terms for a deal, saying that Iran must turn over its enriched uranium to the U.S., destroy it on site, or at an acceptable location. Jerika?
Nicole Killian at the White House.
Federal agents clashed with protesters outside Delaney Hall after days of demonstrations over conditions inside the ICE facility. Some protesters were pepper sprayed as they blocked the entrance. And Naomi Ruckham reports now from Newark.
Tensions boiling over outside Delaney Hall in Newark as ICE agents in riot gear moved in to clear protesters blocking the entrance and exit to the immigration detention facility. This man was pepper sprayed.
I was just trying to de-escalate.
Some protesters could be seen throwing objects, while others linked arms, forming a human chain. Family members of detainees have been protesting here since Friday, claiming their loved ones are being held in poor conditions. Among them, a mother of two who only wanted to be named as Ashley out of fear of retaliation. Her husband was detained 2 months ago. New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill visited the facility Monday, but says she was denied access inside. She met with family members outside.
This type of facility shows exactly why we should not have private mass detention facilities.
The Department of Homeland Security accused the governor of staging what it called a political stunt on Memorial Day and said visitation was suspended out of an abundance of caution because of what it described as agitators surrounding the facility. DHS also said the detainees receive 3 meals a day, along with other basic needs. But Ashley disputes that.
The conditions are not really good.
Late Monday, protesters began moving concrete slabs and orange barricades to block another entrance to the facility. Some climbed into the dumpster for materials. But as the sun set, detainee William Tusa was released. He and his cousin celebrated.
We're very happy that he's out.
They have this message for families still waiting.
I have very high hopes. We'll keep fighting. That's all we can do.
DHS says visitation remains suspended, but the protesters and family members say they will stay here until conditions improve or everyone inside is released. In Newark, New Jersey, Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
They obviously wanted to get to the finals, but they keep talking about a championship as Kolek gets in there. Off balance shot's good. How about Kolek? In a season that was filled with a lot of pressure, it was finals or bust. And they're headed to the NBA Finals. And Proctor will just dribble it out. Chance of let's go Knicks. It's over. Believe it, Knicks fans, for the first time in 27 years, the New York Knicks are going to the NBA Finals. The dream season continues. And hopes of ending a decades-long championship drought are very much alive.
Stephen A., we've heard this a time or two in this conversation, but for the first time since 1999, we can say the Knicks are going to the NBA Finals. What is it about this team, your New York Knicks, specifically that got them back there?
Well, first of all, the thing about this team is that they got someplace the team hasn't got to in the last 27 years. 27 years is a long time. 27 years is a long damn time, okay? It's been long, and it's been a lot of suffering in the process, but it all ended tonight, baby. I mean, when you saw the way that the New York Knicks played, this is when I knew it. First of all, I knew coming into the game it was done. It was done because we saw Cleveland give up in Game 3. But then in Game 4, when Donovan Mitchell comes out and he's hitting Jays all over the place, but nobody else joins him, you saw the Knicks just stayed the course. You saw everybody hit shots. And they are led by a superstar that's 6'1" and unathletic in terms of playing above the rim. But nobody seems to be able to stop him. And that is Jalen Brunson, who is on the verge of potentially going down as the all-time greatest Knick in history if he ends up pulling off a championship victory. It's something special to behold right now. I can't even contain my excitement. I'm not going to lie.
Tonight, I'm going to party like it's 1999. And look, for a guy like me that's been a Knicks fan since I was born, April the 19th of 1967, for a guy like me that did sports talk radio for the better part of 17 years, including every day 5 years at the industry standard, WFAN. For a guy like me that's got to know a lot of Knicks players a lot over the years, and they're still friendly with me. For a guy like me that's been to Madison Square Garden many times to watch good teams and bad teams. Yes, last night was a party that we haven't seen since 1999. 27 years since the Knickerbockers went to the NBA Finals, and I remember that series and that season very, very well. You know, I'm one of those people. I get annoyed a lot. A lot of things annoy me. I don't know why, but I just do. And looking over Instagram, I see people with brooms and Knicks jerseys and yelling and screaming. And I'm like, where are these people all year? Like in November and December, when we're here during a snowstorm, talking about the Knicks, you know, whether or not bringing in Mike Brown over Tom Thibodeau was the right move, that's us, you know. Going back and forth with Justin or Stephen A. Smith, he's on this show often, or Chris Russo or Corey Zelnick. We talk about this stuff every day. I'm not Boomer, okay? This is not WFAN, but we talk Knicks basketball every day throughout the season. And I've been a Knicks fan forever, and I did sports talk radio forever. And I don't remember a lot of these people in New York. I'm not talking about Spike Lee. Look, Spike is a terrible person, terrible. But he's a Knicks fan. He's a diehard Knicks fan. He deserves to enjoy this. All those people there, even Ben Stiller. I hate Ben Stiller. I hate his guts. But he's been there. Steve Sharippa, who I spoke to yesterday. Bobby Bacala from The Sopranos and Anthony from Blue Bloods. You know, I told Steve yesterday, the last time the Knicks won the NBA Finals, again, 1999, that was the same year The Sopranos debuted. And half that cast is dead, which is a horrible thing. Jimmy and Tony, and they're all gone. But that's the last time the Knicks made the finals, was the same year The Sopranos debuted. So, you know, I'm surrounded by people who care all year long, and then, you know, I'm watching this playoff run and people just all over the streets of New York. I don't know those people. Maybe they are diehard fans. I don't know. Something tells me they've never heard of Edmund Sherrod or Rory Sparrow or Louis Orr or Eddie Lee Wilkins or any of those guys.
Forget that. Are you kidding?
No chance.
No.
Right. Those people, Mike Newlin or... no.
Did they even know 1999?
Yeah, I know. They could barely name that team. And that was a crazy year because people forget that was a strike-shortened season. Do you remember that, Noam?
I do remember that.
No, you don't. God,
I do.
You're a liar.
No, what are you talking about?
You do?
Yeah.
Noam's one
Okay,
of those fans.
what was the Knicks seed that year?
I don't remember what their seed was, but I can remember. I remember some of the players.
That was a huge story because the Knicks actually just made it into the playoffs that year as an 8 seed. And the organization and the fans are very upset because that was the year they traded Charles Oakley, got Marcus Camby from Toronto. That was the Latrell Sprewell trade that sent John Starks to Golden State. And under Jeff Van Gundy, the team struggled during the regular season and literally was the last seed to make the playoffs. I don't know how many 8 seeds have gone to the NBA Finals, but something tells me that Knicks team was the only one. Now, they were not very competitive in those NBA Finals. They lost in 5 to a much better San Antonio team. But everybody got fired after that. If you remember that, Ernie Grunfeld, the GM, out. I think Ed Tapscott got fired, too. I don't remember for sure, but at any rate, that was the last time the Knicks made it. They were in as an 8 seed to take on the San Antonio Spurs, and they may very well take on San Antonio again. We don't know. That Western Conference Finals has been reduced to a best of 3, with the Spurs and Thunder locked at 2 games apiece, and Game 5 in Oklahoma City comes your way later on tonight. But, man, this has been some run. 11 consecutive playoff wins. And it's not just 11 consecutive playoff wins. They're just destroying these teams. You know, I remember being in Florida a lot during those classic Heat series when Jeff Van Gundy was hanging on to Alonzo Mourning's leg. All those great games, and Dan Marley going back and forth with Allen Houston and Timmy Hardaway and Larry Johnson, Mourning and Ewing. And the Knicks would always win. And Alonzo Mourning would always say afterwards, we're the better team.
Always.
Always. But you know what? At least they were close. For James Harden to sit there last night when his team lost by 40 just about every night outside of Game 1 and say, we're the better team, could you sound like a bigger dick? You lost by 40. You weren't even competitive. Mourning can say it. Those games came down to like an Allen Houston finger roll. That's how the Knicks won some of those games,
Those were close.
They were close.
Yeah.
This series, outside of Game 1, where the Cavaliers blew a 22-point lead, games through the 2 through 4, and even the stupid coach, who I like, Kenny Atkinson, who coached here with the Brooklyn Nets. He did a good job. He actually went into Game 4 before the game yesterday and said, analytically, we're winning the series. What?
Wow.
You didn't see that?
No, I didn't.
Right before Game 4, Atkinson, analytically, we're winning the series.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, you're not even competitive. You're down by 20 in the first half every game. What are they talking about? So the Knicks just made, quick work. Stephen A. there at the end of the Open talked about how Jalen Brunson is on the verge of becoming the greatest Knick of all time. I'm not there yet. Take it easy. Walt Clyde Frazier, let me remind you, Stephen, Game 7 against the Lakers, 36 points and 19 assists. That means he was responsible for basically 74 points in a Game 7 in an NBA championship, and he won 2, Walt Clyde Frazier. So Brunson's not there yet, even if they win this year. And I know that Frazier probably had a better cast. Second time around, he had Earl Monroe, but, Dave DeBusschere and obviously Willis Reed, and he had a great team. Bill Bradley, he had great teams, no doubt. But I still have Walt Clyde Frazier as number 1. Brunson will have to win more than one for me to reach the Frazier-Reed status. But he is catching up very quickly to Patrick Ewing, which is a comment I never thought I'd make. And I agree with Joe Benigno, who will join us later on this morning, who said that now Brunson has gone past Reggie Jackson as the greatest free agent signing in New York sports history. So here we are, 27 years later. We can sit back and watch the Western Conference Finals, once again, San Antonio and Oklahoma City, deadlocked at 2 games apiece, and get ready for the Knicks in the NBA Finals. Pretty cool, huh, Noam?
It's unbelievable, actually.
So Mike Brown becomes the 4th Knicks head coach to reach the NBA Finals. Red Holtzman did it in 69 and 73. Pat Riley, 1994, the loss to Houston. Jeff Van Gundy, 1999, the loss to San Antonio. And now Mike Brown, of all people, who would have thunk that? Right? They're down 2-1 to the Hawks. And we're saying the happiest guy in the world today is Tom Thibodeau. He had the Knicks 2 games away from the finals, and they fired him. Now you got Mike Brown, and the Knicks are losing to the Hawks. And what do? They win their next 11 games, and just about all of them in the most impressive fashion I've ever seen. I've never seen Knicks teams. Quite frankly, I've never seen any teams do this. Not Magic's Lakers, not Birds Celtics, none of them. Where they're winning by 30 points every night.
These 2 teams were embarrassed out of the building, both of them.
All 3.
Philly.
Atlanta, too, the last 3 games, they won by like a combined 100 points.
So bad that the teams gave up
That's
in their
the
last
thing.
games. They gave up. They destroyed them, embarrassed them out of their own buildings.
Yeah, they won all these road games by 30. I believe all 3 closeout games, I believe, Cleveland, Philadelphia, and Atlanta, won on the road by 20 to 30 points. No one does that.
No,
I've never seen that, but the other side give up, though. Like last night, same thing, same against Philly. Like by the second half, they weren't even playing basketball
They were
anymore.
down by 30 points.
I understand,
you keep saying
but you
the
still
same
play.
thing. No, you don't play.
You just give up?
Yeah, of course. You're
Come
out
on.
there. You're down 3-0. You're down by 30
Show
points.
some heart.
You come to the realization.
Think about your own job.
Stop it. This is not a Denzel Washington movie. I'm begging you to stop.
I know
This
it's
is
not
why
a
I stopped doing
I-
sports talk radio. Show some heart. Get out there. You're down 3-0.
So you just
You're
give
down
up?
30 points. Yeah, that's human nature. You're like, oh, God, we're done. We're done. You know, I mean, not everybody gave up. Donovan Mitchell didn't give up. But, yeah, when you're down 3-0 and you're down 30 points again, it's very hard to stay motivated.
Right.
Very, very hard.
And they could see
it's
the
human
Knicks
nature.
are outplaying
They knew
them.
they were done.
Yeah, they're done.
I mean, the Knicks had guys coming off the bench that were killing their starters. Landry Shamet, they couldn't stop. So, yes, in the movies, it's very nice. Denzel, they're never going to quit. We don't quit. But in real life, these guys are like, oh, my God, we can't beat them. We can't beat them. Doesn't matter what we do. Mitchell came out. He started hitting shots. No one else did. But it just didn't matter. This is the most dominant Knick team. May not be the best Knick team. That's still up for debate. Again, they haven't won a championship. Like I tweeted this morning, and I compel all of you to follow me on Twitter, at Sid Rosenberg19, at Sid Rosenberg19. I also put it on Instagram, at Rosenberg.Sydney, that's Sidney. Facebook, Sid Rosenberg, and Sid on Truth Social. They got to win 4 more. When you've done this and been this dominant for these 3 series, you cannot lose to Oklahoma City, even though they're the reigning champs and a very good team, and we don't match up well against them. You cannot lose to Oklahoma City or Wembanyama and the Spurs. You can't. Where the Knicks are right now, the way they played in this postseason, you got to win it all. Anything less, I believe, my opinion is a disappointment. You're done. It'll be their 3rd consecutive loss in the NBA Finals, and we just can't have that. So the partying was fun, not since 1999. But there's one more hill to climb, as they said with Mark Messier and the Rangers. One more hill to climb, and that's 4 wins against either San Antonio or Oklahoma City.
Who said that, Noam? One more hill to climb.
No idea.
Okay.
Howie Rose.
Right.
Yeah. So Friday, as you know, when the show ended, I ran out of here, and I ran to Suffern in Rockland County. My dear friend, the king of Rockland County, as Trump calls him, Mr. Salt, the amazing Congressman Mike Lawler, invited me to this rally where President Trump was coming into town after swearing in Kevin Warsh, which he did, to endorse Mike Lawler in his next race for Congress. And there was thousands of people there. And again, at the risk of sounding like a real dick and a narcissist, I couldn't walk 2 feet without somebody asking to take a picture. They love me there. They love me. You can talk to the people who were there, including Mike. Mike may not admit this himself, but it's true. Outside of Trump, there was nobody more popular at this event on Friday than me. Now, Jaxson Dart wasn't walking around outside, but there was nobody more popular. It was amazing. And then it started, and Jaxson Dart, the great quarterback of the Giants, going into his 2nd season, he introduced President Trump. We'll get to that story. That's now a big problem. And then a whole bunch of people spoke. Mike Lawler was terrific. Bruce Blakeman was terrific. Howard Lutnick was great. In fact, Lutnick ended his speech by screaming, "Let's go Knicks," about 10 times. So don't forget, this is Friday afternoon. At that point, the Knicks were only up 2-0. And they hadn't played a game yet in Cleveland because they won in Cleveland, as we now know, on Friday and Sunday. So Lutnick is screaming, "Let's go Knicks." The crowd is going nuts. And at the time, the Knicks were only up 2-0. That's how long ago our last show was. But what an amazing day it turned out to be. Now, Lawler sat on the right side of the stage in the front row. Lawler was there, his beautiful wife, Bruce Blakeman. You had Jaxson Dart, Howard Lutnick, I believe maybe even Mike LePetri, Janine Driscoll. All these people were sitting in the front row just to Donald Trump's right. Me, I was in the front row to Donald Trump's left, but he never saw us. And no one said to President Trump, "Sid's here." So he goes through this whole rally. Trump makes this amazing speech for over an hour. Like I said, the rest of the guys were all terrific. And then the rally ends, and President Trump starts walking down the red runway to go back and leave, But to go down the red runway, he had to pass the people on the left. My side, that's where the entrance and the exit was. And he's walking. You know what Trump does? They're playing YMCA. He's doing the dance. He looks so cute. He was so cute. He's doing the dance. He's looking at people. And then he's about halfway through the red carpet gnome, and he sees me. And I actually put on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Truth Social the face he made when he saw me. It was like, "Oh, wow, Sid's here." Swear to God. And the next thing you know, he starts motioning towards me to come to the stage, which is always surreal for me.
Now, were you like behind a barrier? Where were you?
Yes, I was behind the barriers. And he starts motioning to me with his fingers, come on, come on, come on. He, clearly he wanted me to come see him. But Secret Service, they're not letting me get through the barriers. They're not. And Trump is really taking his time. He's moving very, very slowly, giving me the opportunity to come see him. So the next thing you know, some Jewish guy puts a white chair by the barricade. I step on the white chair, and I jump over the barricade.
You could have been shot.
I easily could have been shot. Yeah. So Secret Service starts to come towards me, and Trump is like, it's okay, leave him. It's okay. And then they backed up, and I made my way to the stage, and I spoke to Trump. He bent over, and he whispered something in my ear.
What did he whisper?
Maybe I'll tell you. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I whispered something in his ear. What
did he say?
Well, I'm not going to tell you.
Sid, this is my room key. I only give this
Shut
to
up.
certain people.
I've already seen like 1,000 podcasts of people that are making fun of me, literally making fun of me. There's new podcasts every day that I suck up to the president, playing my audio from the last interview where I said he was the most interesting person God ever created. They're killing me on the internet for a month. So he whispers in my ear, I whisper in his. It's about a 30-second interaction. He gives me the fist pump, I give him the fist pump, and he walks away. And then Secret Service walked over and said, oh, my God, I'm sorry. Clearly, you know the president. I said, yeah, I was trying to tell you that, when you guys are not allowing, you didn't move the barricade. I had to jump over. I will tell you the first thing I said to Trump. I said, my balls are killing me from jumping over the barricade. That's the first thing I said to him. After that, I swear to God on my father.
Great balls you got, Sid. They're great. I hope they're okay.
Because he saw me jump over the damn thing. I'm like, oh, my God, Mr. President, my balls are killing me. I swear to God. I swear on my father, I said that.
No wonder they almost shot you.
Yeah. But it turned out to be an amazing day, and Lawler was terrific. He's going to join us in about 15, 20 minutes. And then President Trump went about his weekend. He went back, I guess, to D.C. that night. That would have been Friday night. He was in the Oval Office 10 p.m. on Saturday night. I don't know if you guys know that. He was literally in the office 10 p.m. Saturday night trying to iron out this Iran deal. And then, of course, yesterday he spent time at the cemetery in Arlington. So I guess the Iran deal is still the biggest story. Look, we want the enriched uranium. They have to give it to us. I doubt that's going to happen. If they don't, we're not going to loosen some of these financial restrictions. Iran needs money. They want money, and we're willing to loosen some of these if, in fact, they do what we want, which is open the Strait of Hormuz and give us their enriched uranium. That's basically the deal, right, Noam?
Yeah, well, and the issue, of course, is do we send troops in there to get that? And will there be appetite on the part of Americans for that to happen, to send American troops in there to get it? Because that's probably the only way they're going to get it, is sending people in to get it. So I don't know where it stands right now. The Iranians were in Doha over the weekend trying to make some sort of deal, but whatever it was, it did not go through.
So right now we're still kind of, despite the optimism from President Trump, Marco Rubio, and all the folks in D.C., the truth is we're still kind of in a stalemate, right?
Yeah. Well, there was missile fire yesterday.
While we were acting in self-defense, we're told, of course, the ceasefire remains in place, even though, once again, we were firing at each other.
Yeah, taking out Iranian launchers. It's amazing that they even have launchers left, but there are. So they were taking out launchers yesterday, and the Iranians claimed that they took down one of our drones, but the Americans haven't confirmed that yet.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I know that Mamdani yesterday delivered, they're calling it a solemn address at the Intrepid Memorial Day ceremony. And I don't pay attention. I hate it when this mayor is involved in anything American, 9/11, the Intrepid, anything that I value for this country. This guy hates America. I don't care how much he smiles. I saw him smiling again yesterday, laying down a wreath, making this speech. There is nothing genuine about this mayor. Nothing. And I guess that is the motivation behind this big rally tonight. Brooke Goldstein, who's terrific, big-time lawyer, lawfare lawyer, She was on this show last week. She was actually considered at one point to be President Trump's anti-Semitism envoy. I like Brooke a lot. And we had a conversation, I told you last week, where she's putting together this big rally tonight outside of Gracie Mansion. And she reached out to me personally, and I said, I can't do it. She said, what do you mean you can't do it? I said, no disrespect to the social influencers. I like them all. They're nice kids. I said, I'm going to come off like a dick here. I know it, but I'm sorry. I'm a little too big for that type of nonsense. Stand out in the middle of the street with 26 or 27 other speakers, most of which are social influencers. I mean, guys, again, we saw what President Trump did on Friday. He's not going to do that for anybody who is speaking at this rally tonight. Is that a fair assumption, Noam?
Yeah.
So she promised me that this rally was not going to be that. And as it turns out, this rally is exactly that. So I told her a couple of days ago I'm not speaking. Now, they refuse to accept that. They refuse. In fact, late last night, I'm on this WhatsApp message deal with all the speakers and everybody involved, and my name is still on the list as one of the speakers. I'm not speaking. Really, it's twofold for me. I'm just not doing it. Again, 27 speakers, and most of them, I'm not doing it. And also, I've got the mouth issue. As you guys remember, when I left here on Friday, I was in horrible pain.
Oh, I forgot about that, yeah.
Horrible pain. So it's not like my dentist is open over the weekend, Tribeca Dental Design. They're not. I called on Saturday morning. I was starting to really freak out to the point where, forget about drinking hot or cold, but even if my lower teeth touched my upper teeth, I was going to jump out of my house. It was so bad, so bad. So finally, Sunday, Danielle said, call an emergency. I went for dinner, for example, Saturday night with our friend Jen DeLandro. We went to Mateo's in Howard Beach. It's terrific there. And Anthony Amoroso is a dear friend. I love Anthony. So we had dinner, Anthony Amoroso's Mateo's in Howard Beach, and I couldn't even eat. So Sunday morning at the gym, Danielle's like, there's got to be an emergency dental place. Go find one. I'll take you. So there's one in Manhattan. They're open holidays and weekends, and the place is packed. They're all young kids, even the dentist, very young. My dentist, 32 years old, went to NYU Dental School, great school, lives on Staten Island. His name is Anthony. And this place is packed. Smile Lab by 14th and Union Square. And I walk in, I'm like, I think I'm dying, So long story short, I was going to go get a root canal on at least one, possibly two teeth. You remember this, Noam?
Yeah, you were in a lot of pain on Friday.
Right. At least one, maybe two. So they take x-rays and they find out I was right. The two teeth I was complaining about were actually a huge issue. And the doctor said this. He said, you got great insurance. Great. But just so you know, if you want to get the two root canals, it's still going to cost you about $4,000 out of pocket. And because you're losing bone around your wisdom teeth because you're old, okay, there's no guarantee this won't come back. So you're going to pay $4,000, get the root canal. You'll feel better tomorrow. You will, but I can't guarantee you in 6 months you're not going to have the same issue. I said, okay, what's my second alternative? He said, we extract. We pull the teeth out. So I've got, like everybody else, 4 wisdom teeth. 2 were removed back in Delray Beach by Dr. Ronnie Katz back in 2005, I guess. So these last 2 wisdom teeth are giving me a hard time. I'm losing bone around the teeth, and, that's collecting bacteria. That's how you get the infection. So the dentist said, listen, forget about the money. Yeah, you're going to save $2,500, but you're going to put yourself out of harm's way and have a much cleaner mouth. You know me, guys. No one's cleaner than me. I refuse to go to a bathroom in a public bathroom. I'm all about hygiene. I said, give me that cleaner mouth. So extracting the teeth was my only choice.
Oh, no. So where are these teeth?
They're in the back. There's one on the upper right and one on the lower left. Because that's what Danielle said. She goes, oh, my God, you're going to be missing teeth. I said, no. This is not Michael Strahan. You can't see these teeth.
Okay, it's in the back.
All the way in the back. My smile remains the same, my beautiful smile. But the teeth are all the way in the back, and they got to go. So that's the latest with that. So
you're going to get new ones?
Well, eventually I'll get implants. Not right away. You got to wait for the, there's going to be stitches and all that stuff. It's got to heal. And then we can talk about implants down the road. I'll go back in 2 weeks, and whatever stitches are left, most dissolve, but whatever are left, they'll pull out. and I'll get a nice, strong teeth cleaning, and then we'll take it from there. So I'm still in pain this morning, but considerably less than I was on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, where I couldn't eat at all. I still really can't eat, but it's not nearly as bad. I'm on antibiotics. I'm on painkillers. So if I start cursing or getting crazy out of nowhere, just blame it on the painkillers, okay?
Or just up the meds, that's all.
We'll just up the meds, that's right. So anyway, that was my day on Friday, and it was a great day. So when Mamdani is out there doing all these things, I can't stand it. I don't like when he roots for the Knicks. I don't buy it. Just like all you girls on Instagram, and guys too. It's not necessarily a gender thing, but you don't know anything about this team. You know nothing about this team's history, and you're walking around outside with a broom doing an Instagram video, and that's where I start getting nauseous about all this stuff. That's why I don't go to events like tonight. You know what I'm saying? No, I can't stand it. There's nothing genuine about this, nothing authentic about it. Putting your kids in Knick jerseys, what does that mean? Were you there for the Louis Orr days?
No.
Of course not.
But this happens every time.
Were you there when we drafted Kenny Skywalker?
No.
Of course not. So, the city, it's great. The city is excited. But even this douchebag Mamdani, he's got no issue allowing thousands and thousands of pro-Hamas people to run up and down our streets, and they never stop them. Mayor Eric Adams did the same thing. For all you Jews out there that love Mayor Eric Adams, how many times, Lou and Noam, did I have Eric on this show and say, hey, you going to try to stop those? No, man. That's a First Amendment right. Eric never tried to stop them. Neither does Mamdani. So they're okay, Adams and Mamdani, with 5,000 people in Bay Ridge threatening to kill Jews. But if 5,000 people gather outside of Madison Square Garden to root for the Knicks, we got to shut that down. Now, look, I do think some of these people are ridiculous. I do. Climbing on top of lights and cars, and there's no reason for that. There's no reason. Now, they're not burning down the city like they do in Detroit and Los Angeles, but we haven't won the championship yet. But you can still be better behaved than New Yorkers are. I agree with that. There's no reason to act like a jerk-off. But how are you okay with pro-Hamas people running up and down the streets, but you're going to shut down Madison Square Garden? You see my point, no?
It is interesting, right, that you'd go after Knicks fans who probably aren't going to do anything.
Right.
They're just going to celebrate.
They're not going to hurt anybody, except maybe themselves, these morons. Kind of like subway surfing.
Yeah, and they're not. And then you have lunatics, which is the other group.
Lunatics that want to hurt people.
Right.
And Mamdani shuts that down, the Knicks, but pro-Hamas is okay.
Yeah.
I just can't stand him. Everything about this mayor, I hate his guts down to the core. I say it somewhere right now, John Katzmatidis probably didn't like that, but I got to be honest. That's why I get the ratings I get. I hate his guts. I hate everything about him. I hate his wife. I hate her with a vengeance as well. I hate his friends. I just hate him. So when I see him on the Intrepid, I want to throw up. When I see him by the Freedom Tower, I want to throw up. When I see him celebrating the Knicks, I don't care about the Mets. The Knicks, I want to throw up. To me, this guy doesn't have one redeeming value. Not one. How about you, Noam?
And I don't want to ruin this for you, but if the Knicks are able to run the table, win 4 more games, and win the NBA Finals,
it's his championship.
He gets to preside over that whole thing.
Don't even get please. I'm
the
begging
City
you.
Hall thing.
I'm begging you. Stop.
He's the MC of that thing.
I know. Andrew Giuliani is going to join me at 8:30 this morning, and I spoke to Andrew before. I said, your dad, Rudy, the greatest mayor in the history of New York, and you can make a very good argument, the greatest mayor of any big city ever. That's my argument. He boasts that we won 5 championships when he was the mayor. 5. The Yankees, they won. The Giants, they won. And you ready for this? The Rangers. He was mayor in 1994 when Messi and our team won the Cup. He had 5. And I couldn't be happier to see Rudy Giuliani at these parades because he loved New York and he loves all those sports teams. He really does. But to see this radical Islam, America-hating scumbag at an event, if the Knicks win the championship, is going to be very, very hard for me to swallow. So I'll probably punch you across the face, no?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe I won't show up to work that day.
Maybe. Might even spit a tooth out at you.
Yeah, I may do that.
Just got to be careful.
What else is going on, Noam, quickly?
I think we covered the big stories. You got.
How about Abdul Carter? Abdul Carter, the player for the Giants that we drafted in the first round 2 years ago.
He was
so good, we drafted a linebacker again this year. this idiot, Abdul Carter, who did nothing his rookie season. In fact, he was in trouble a lot, I heard, missing meetings and all that type of stuff. He's not happy, like you said. He comes out like Leonard Green. He blasts Jaxson Dart. Hey, Abdul, shut your face. Go out there, sack the opposing quarterback. Last I checked, this is America. In America, we can vote for, we can like whoever we want. I'm sure you voted for Kamala Harris, you dumb bastard, Abdul Carter, and I'm sure Jaxson Dart didn't get mad at you. I'm sure he didn't. So Abdul Carter, who so far has done nothing for the Giants, of course he's only been there 1 year, but to open his mouth about Jaxson Dart being at our rally on Friday, shut your effing mouth, Abdul, and sack the opposing quarterback. How about that?
Yeah, just play football.
Just play football. Shut up. You voted for Kamala Harris, you dumb, stupid bastard. You dumb bastard. Now, I'll let it go if, like Lawrence Taylor, you sack the quarterback 3 times a week. I'll let it go. But when you basically do nothing on the field and go after your own quarterback because he likes Trump, Abdul Carter, shut up. How to get that out there?
Might be the tooth speaking right now.
My mouth is killing me.
Yeah,
it is.
It's going to get worse.
Yes, of course it is.
Also take some of those meds. What
I
did. They
did.
give you?
Well, I've been, right now I'm on ibuprofen. I snorted a little oxy at about 4:30, and then I just got 2 Aleve from Lou.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Okay,
So you should be
filled
good.
up.
I'm fine.
No, he's going to lash out again in 10 minutes, 5 minutes.
I don't take painkillers. They make me nervous, so. For a guy that's been to rehab twice
not a good
and has
idea.
the drug history that I've got, I'm actually scared to death of drugs these days. Scared to death. So my man Lou gave me 2 Aleve, and that's about it for me.
They'll work.
They will?
Yeah.
They should.
Well, how do you know that?
Strongest things over the counter. Aleve is magic.
And 2, that's good.
Yeah, no, 2 should help until the next thing that makes
Right.
you crazy.
Yeah. You're funny.
Before 7.
Yep, we got a great guest list today. Mike Lawler, he's going to join us momentarily. The star of the big Trump rally in Rockland County on Friday. Lawler did a tremendous job. He's a great congressman. He'll join us. I just got a text from Brooke Goldstein. She's on the way to the airport in Miami. She said before she boards the flight, she's calling us at 7:35, and she said, "Can we please say that you're speaking tonight?" Well, I can. I mean, I got a tooth. I mean, my mouth hurts. So that's my excuse.
Oh, use it for what it's worth.
Right.
I would use that.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Bo Dietl is going to be here for his Tuesday appearance. Andrew Giuliani, Michael Rapaport, and Joe Benigno.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I'm looking out the window, and it's so frustrating. It's a gorgeous day. Sunny blue skies.
Doesn't that piss you off?
It doesn't really piss me off because the truth is, I run out of here once the show is over. I run out of here.
That's true.
I'm on the ferry by 11:15. I'm on my deck at my house naked by 12:30. And I come in with the best hand in New York. I got stopped about 1,000 times in Rockland County. In fact, I sent President Trump a text, and this is on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and Truth Social. I texted Trump right after the event on Friday, and I said, "Great seeing you, Mr. President. I love you. Thank you for calling me up." And he said, and you can read it, "You look great." And he put "great" in capital letters. You did see that. Oh. A lot of folks loved the tan on Friday, and I had 3 days of no tanning. It was terrible. But I'll be up there today. It's a gorgeous day. And the whole week is supposed to be gorgeous. Let me take a quick break. When we get back, the man responsible for that amazing rally on Friday, it really was great. He was great. He delivered a big-time speech. Rockland County loves him. President Trump loves him. Bruce Blakeman loves him. Most importantly, Sid Rosenberg loves him.
This is Sid on Sports. Sponsored by Peerless Boilers on 77 WABC.
Justin Ellick here with your sports update, sponsored by Pete Morgan of Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. Pardon, like it's 1999 out in Cleveland. Carl Anthony Towns had 19 points and 14 rebounds. OG Anunoby scored 17, and the Knicks routed the Cavaliers once again, 130-93 to complete a 4-game sweep of the Eastern Conference Finals and advance to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999. New York will play the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder or the San Antonio Spurs in the Finals. The Western Conference Conference Finals is tied at 2 games apiece, with Game 5 to be played in Oklahoma City tonight. The Thunder or the Spurs will have home court advantage when the finals start on June 3rd because of a better regular season record. This will be the Knicks' 3rd appearance in the finals since winning their last title in 1973.
We don't care about home court advantage when you consider that the last 3 series against the Hawks, the 76ers, and the Cavaliers, we won the last game of the series by over 20 on the road every game.
Yep, but analytically they were winning two or
well, according to, Atkinson, the coach of the Cavaliers, going into Game 4, analytically we're winning the series, and even after the series, James Harden said we're the better team.
Just go home.
Go home and shut up. You just got humiliated.
Yeah. Why don't you go retire?
Maybe even, not Atkinson, but Harden may. Although Harden came up big in that series against Detroit.
He did, but he went away. He went away against the Knicks.
Well, the Knicks shut him down.
Totally shut him down.
They're the better team.
Brunson embarrassed him.
Oh, Brunson killed him. Killed him.
It's like he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Hey, Donovan Mitchell, nowhere to be found.
No, I mean, he was okay, Donovan. He actually tried to keep the Cavs in the game in the first half last night, but you can't do it alone.
No, not against this Knicks team. No way. All right, tonight, though, you do get Game 5 of that Western Conference Finals series. Spurs and Thunder. Thunder heading in at home, 5.5-point favorites there, looking to jump out 3-2. On the diamond in Kansas City, Anthony Volpe answered Bobby Witt Jr.'s go-ahead homer in the 8th of the 2-run single in the 9th for New York, sending the Yankees to a 4-3 victory over the Royals in the opener of a 3-game set. Up next for the Yanks, the righty Cam Schlittler will get the start in tonight's middle game from KC. First pitch there, 7:40, and in Queens, the Mets lost 7-2 to the Reds in the opener of a 3-game set against Cincinnati, extending their losing streak to 4.
So they got swept by the Marlins.
Yeah.
And now they lost to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So now they're back to 10 games under 500.
Yeah, they've struck out 41 times as a team over the last 4 games, so that's more than 10 strikeouts per game.
See, they started beating some bad teams, and A.J. Ewing, the youngster, and Benji, the youngster, and people are like, oh, maybe we're not that bad. No, folks, we are that bad.
Yep.
We're bad, really bad, really bad. That's the Mets.
They were a big league best 45-24 at the start of play on June 13th last year. They're now 60-87 since. That's a pretty big sample size. Up next for the Mets, lefty David Peterson will get the start in tonight's second game of this 3-game set against Cincy. First pitch there, 7:10 from Queens. That's your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan at Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. I'm Justin Ellick, 77 WABC.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I'm going to work with the whole group in New York. We're going to work with Mike. Mike Lawler's fantastic. He's fantastic. He is a fantastic. I call him Mr. Salt. He didn't stop. He wouldn't stop. He was driving us crazy. We have to get Salt. We have to get Salt back. And he got it back. And he's a terrific guy. And you're lucky to have him. I'll tell you. He loves you. He loves this place.
The guy that really took care of me most of that day was the Clarkstown supervisor, George Holman. He was really terrific. And Lauren Marie, she was great, too. Also, Lon Hofstein, super guy. And then eventually I had to get to the to New City to get a car home. So I had a police escort. So Rob McDermott, Gordon Miller, and the Clarkstown police chief, Jim Fay, were all great. I think I got most of the names out there, right, Mike? Am I missing anybody?
No, you did great. You did a great job.
Oh, they were great. That is, look, I know those people before. I went to that beautiful dinner at the hotel 2 years ago, last year. This year, I was at Bailey's, right, in New City for you guys. So that was my 3rd visit to Rockland County. But more importantly, the first for a sitting president since Gerald Ford 50 years ago. I thought you did a spectacular job. When it was over, Mike, with Trump in your town, what were you thinking?
I thought it was absolutely fantastic. At the end of the day, it's not very often you get the President of the United States to come visit your community. This is, where he came was my hometown where I grew up. I live in Pearl River now, but, it was just a great opportunity to have the President of the United States come. We had over 5,000 people in attendance. There were over 10,000 people that signed up in 3 days to come see the President of the United States and hear him talk about the issues and get an opportunity to be there. And, really, from my vantage point, I don't think it could have gone any better. Obviously, we spent a lot of time talking about SALT and the real impact that lifting the cap on SALT had on my constituents. Over 90% of my constituents were able to fully deduct their state and local taxes, which provided huge tax refund checks to people all across, Rockland, Westchester, Putnam, and Dutchess counties, and across New York. And New York was the biggest beneficiary of the cap on SALT being lifted. So, especially given Kathy Hochul and Zohran Mamdani's disastrous push to raise taxes, we provided real tax relief to hardworking and middle-class families all across the state. Secondarily, to be able to have President Trump honor Wells Crowther, the man in the red bandana, and recognize his mother and announce that he will be awarding Wells the Presidential Medal of Freedom as we approach the 25th anniversary of September 11th. And Wells' story is so iconic, as President Trump said. I mean, he saved 18 lives on September 11th. He could have gone down the South Tower and exited, but he stayed. And as a 24-year-old equities trader and volunteer firefighter, his training kicked in, and he wore that red bandana that his father gave him as a child around his face so he could breathe through the smoke and be able to function through the chaos, and to be able to continue to save people and go up and down the stairs back and forth to get people to safety. He was a hero. And that story, which broke, around Memorial Day 2002, when some of the survivors started telling the New York Times about the man in the red bandana that saved them. It really very powerful. And so that was just a truly wonderful moment. This is something I've been working on since last year when I went to the Yankee game. I saw the president. I gave him a red bandana and, told him the story and asked him to consider giving Wells the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And it's something we've been working on for months. And to have President Trump come to Rockland County and announce it really was special.
It really was. I met his mom. I took a picture with his mom. She sat right behind me. She was very, very sweet. And she spoke, and it was emotional. And it's a great job out of you. That gentleman deserves all that. But the most emotional part of the day, and Trump was in a great mood. He was joking. He was laughing. He was dancing, at the end there, the YMCA, and even the way he did the whole weightlifting thing with Jaxson Dart. That was hilarious. So for the most part, overwhelmingly, it was a very positive, fun rally. But when President Trump, I know you did this too, Michael, when President Trump called up the Gorman family, and people should know that Sheridan Gorman, the lovely young lady who was gunned down in Chicago by an illegal, I said it, she was murdered, and her family, as you pointed out before, in your district. And when he called up Sheridan's mom and dad and two sisters, specifically the mother and the dad, when they spoke, I can tell you this, I mean this, I was crying. And I looked around me, and there wasn't a dry eye in the place. It doesn't take a lot for somebody to cry if they're a decent person when you see somebody whose daughter was murdered. But, man, that mom and dad, they were beautiful.
It was certainly powerful. And there, as you point out, there was not a dry eye in the room. I had my 4-year-old daughter there, and I was holding her as they spoke. And it just, first of all, it reminds you of what is most important. But second of all, no parent should ever have to endure that. And Jess and Tom and Madeline were, Sheridan's sister, were truly courageous to come to share their story and that of their daughter, Sheridan, who, 18 years old, she had her whole life ahead of her. And to have it stolen by an illegal immigrant who should never have been released into the country, who was detained at the border by the Biden administration and then released and then arrested in Chicago for shoplifting. Very similar crime to what Lake and Riley's murderer was arrested for in New York, only to be released back out onto the street and then commit this heinous crime. And listening to both Jess and Tom, they said very clearly, this isn't about politics. This is about the real life policy decisions that are made and the impact that has on families. And in both instances, the policies failed this family, from sanctuary city policies and open border policies and pro-criminal cashless bail policies. These policies resulted in a young girl being killed, murdered, senselessly. And I can't for the life of me understand how anyone can defend these policies. But enter Kathy Hochul, and she says, hold my beer, I'm going to make it worse. And last week, Kathy Hochul in the New York State Legislature passed the most pro-sanctuary state policies in the entire country and are now prohibiting law enforcement at any level in New York from cooperating with federal immigration officials. So if somebody commits a murder under state law, if somebody commits a rape under state law, if somebody sexually exploits and abuses a child under state law, the state of New York is prohibiting law enforcement from turning over that individual to federal authorities. Prohibited.
Unreal.
It is
it's crazy.
absolutely fucking insane.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Well, and Bruce Blakeman, who's running against who I call the Wicked Witch, Kathy Hochul, he put on a great speech as well. Couple more minutes, so I want to ask you this. Did you think, because the Giants are my team, I'm not sure if they're your team or not, you may be a Jet fan, I don't know.
They are.
Okay.
I like to win, Sid.
Okay, yeah. Well, we haven't won a lot for a long time, but yes, we won 4 Super Bowls, 4 out of 5.
More than the Jets.
That's true. We're 4-1. They're 1-0, dating back to 1969. But at any rate, did you think for 1 second that this amazing second-year quarterback for the Giants, Jaxson Dart, who has all of us Giant fans, Rosenberg, Lawler, all of us Giant fans really excited about the season. Not Abdul Carter. Sorry, Abdul. We're not excited about the season because of you. Did you think that Jaxson Dart, after introducing President Trump at your rally, would receive all the garbage, including that racist columnist? He's a racist. He's garbage. Leonard Green of the New York Daily News. He's an outright racist, and he's going after Jaxson Dart. Did you feel badly for Dart afterwards?
Is the Daily News still around?
Yeah. No one reads it, of course. Mike Lupica still writes for the Daily News. That jerk off.
I'm shocked that's still around. Anyway, look, sadly, yeah, I guess as soon as he was there, I expected that he would take some incoming. But you know what? His jersey sales went to number 1 in the entire NFL within 24 hours. So, look, this is the sad thing of our politics today and society, and especially Democrats. They want free speech for them. They want to be able to express their political points of view. But anybody who expresses a political point of view that is different than theirs becomes public enemy number 1. And, to me, that's just, it's ridiculous. He had every right to be there. He was asked by the President of the United States to come introduce him at a rally in New York.
So he was actually, this wasn't you because you set up most of the guests. So President Trump is the one who reached out to Jaxson Dart, yes?
Oh, yeah. This is, this came from the White House. This was, he was a special guest, and we were happy to have him. I think it was absolutely awesome. I got to talk to him for a few minutes backstage. And to, as a lifelong Giant fan, Yankees, Rangers, and the New York Knickerbockers, 27 years, finally, we're going back. We're going back to the NBA Finals. Yeah. Only took 27 years, but we are, by the way, this playoff run has been phenomenal. They are absolutely decimating the competition, 11 straight wins. But it's always awesome when you have, athletes like Jaxson Dart who can show up and be part of the event. And, I think obviously a lot of people, fans were excited to see him.
I was seeing him up close. He is a good-looking kid, and Trump's right.
By the way, this team is going to be phenomenal. And with Harbaugh as the coach, I think there's a lot of bright days ahead for the New York Football Giants.
Could be a lot of Mondays with you. You seem to love this team and know your stuff, so we could be talking about midterms and the Giants come Mondays. All right, final 60 seconds. I didn't realize this, but I was on the way to the event, and my Uber driver was driving towards Rockland Community College, which was in Suffern. It's not New City or Pearl River. It's in Suffern. I had no idea what a huge Orthodox Jewish community that is for miles. Now, this was Friday morning. It wasn't Shabbat yet. But for miles, we were driving, and all I saw was Orthodox Jews. So when you talk about your constituents and how you've got a huge Jewish population and you're very pro-Israel, which I love you for that, you're not kidding. Man, did I see that on Friday. In fact, some of the people inside said, because you held it on a Friday, they were nervous if the president was late, it would go into Shabbos, or you may have had 5,000 more.
Well, it was Shavuos, so it was
right
in the middle of a Jewish holiday, and so they could, many of my constituents weren't able to drive, especially, within the town of Rampo. And so those that were there that you saw were within walking distance, and so they chose to walk. They wanted to welcome the President of the United States, like everybody else throughout my district. If we had a bigger venue that could have handled it, frankly, you would have had well more than 10,000. You could have easily had 20,000 people. People were excited. And by the way, I had Democrats there. I had people who don't necessarily like or agree with the president, but they were there because they absolutely thought it was awesome that the president of the United States was coming to Rockland County.
Mike really did do a tremendous job. He was great, and the rally was great, and Mike Lawler's speech was great, and the president loves him, Mr. Salt. I'm very proud of Mike Lawler. I'm very proud of our friendship. I really am. And he was just terrific. Mike Lawler, congratulations. We'll take a short break. When we get back, still a lot more to do on this post-Memorial Day Tuesday morning, this Knickerbocker Tuesday. Joe Benigno will be here, WFAN legend, now Sid Rosenberg contributor, one of the greatest sports talk show hosts of all time. Joe B's going to be here. The amazing actor and comedian also, big NBA fan. He's done stuff with the NBA. And diehard New York Knicks fan Michael Rapaport, he's going to be here, as well as Brooke Goldstein, Bo Dietl, and Andrew Giuliani. All that still to come. Tuesday morning, Sid and Friends in the morning.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Are you still a Knicks fan, President Trump?
Well, I am, and I get along with Jim Dolan. I think he's a really nice guy, and he's entitled to a good team because he's suffered a little bit. And, boy, some of these players have turned out to be great players.
Yeah.
And Philadelphia is a tough team. You look at them as a team. Their center, Embiid, he's a big guy. And no, you thought they would be good, and they were winning by 35 points. It's great.
The Knicks made very quick work, 4-game sweep of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they're back in the NBA Finals for the first time in 27 years. We'll find out who they're going to play. Not tonight, though, because tonight's just a game 5 between the Spurs and the Thunder. That series is been reduced to a best of 3. There are 2 games apiece. One quick thing about O'Reilly, then I'll get to Brookie. O'Reilly talked about Jake Tapper having access to Trump people. I don't get it either. Jake is a douche, okay? And Sunday he had Lee Zeldin on. And I'm watching saying the same thing Bill said. Why is Lee Zeldin on with Jake Tapper? He's no better than the rest of these people, than, Mika or Joe or all these idiots. So Bill O'Reilly had a good point there. Anyway, later on tonight, here in New York City, we had Brooke Goldstein on last week, the amazing attorney, great attorney, lawfare, of course. And tonight's going to be a huge rally outside of Gracie Mansion. All these smart, decent, sane people in New York would love to see Mamdani removed. Of course, the only person that can do that is the governor, Kathy Hochul, and we know that the Wicked Witch won't do it. But nevertheless, New Yorkers have a right to rally and protest and show their disdain. Nobody hates this guy more than me. Nobody kills this guy more than me. I do it 4 hours every morning on this big station in New York City. So Brooke put together this huge rally tonight. Let's talk to her. She's on her way back to New York from Miami. Brooke, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm in the airport, so I apologize if there's background noise.
No, you sound great, and we can't hear anything in the background. That's terrific. All right, so tell folks, I know, I'm sure Miami's a very busy airport today. Tell folks about what they can expect and what's going to happen later on tonight at about 7 o'clock right outside of Gracie Mansion.
Well, they can expect, I think it's going to be almost 1,000 people show up to protest the extremist policies and rhetoric of Mamdani and call on Governor Hochul to remove this man from office. He is not served to fit. He has absolutely neglected his duty. He has refused to carry out his legal responsibilities not to discriminate against Jewish citizens, to provide protection for all citizens, to go after people who are engaged in criminal conspiracies, to violate the civil rights of New Yorkers. This man is not fit for office. We have an incredible list of speakers. I'm not going to name them all. You can go on our socials at NJewHatred on Instagram. We have influencers showing up. We have entertainment showing up. It's going to be a powerful show of force by all of the rational people in this city saying enough is enough. And you know what? I have to say again, this is not just about anti-Semitism. This is about who we are as Americans, what we stand for. And we do not stand for this extremism that is taking over our city. We are not Europe. This is the United States of America, right? We protect civil rights. We protect minority rights. We don't go and elect a mayor. Apparently we did elect a mayor who supports Islamist terrorist-connected mobs showing up outside synagogues, harassing synagogue goers. This is not acceptable.
No, it really is. And it really is not just about the Jews. You remember when Ronald Hicks was set to replace Cardinal Dolan, St. Patrick's Cathedral? He did not even show up. He's anti-cop. He's anti-everything that we built our values on. And I'll tell you something else, going back to the Jews. He's perfectly okay when you've got 5,000 pro-Hamas animals walking up and down the streets in Bay Ridge, but he's quick to cancel a Knicks celebration outside of Madison Square Garden. Explain that one to me.
Well, again, he does not respect equal protection. He does not respect public safety. He is not opposed to extremism. He himself is an extremist. He supports the so-called globalization of a radical terrorist intifada. He is a mobster. He was one of the people who was in the mob chanting the pro-terror slogans right after October 8th. He is one of them. This threat extends beyond one community. It is targeting Americans broadly. And so we are showing up. We are exercising our right to peacefully protest. This is a fundamental American right, all right? This is not just a political disagreement. This is a protest against those who glorify and encourage violence, which is what he has done. Any movement that justifies terrorism, anyone who excuses attacks against civilians, doesn't just threaten the Jewish community. They challenge the broader idea of what this country stands for. They are normalizing. He is normalizing the idea that violence is justified when directed against people because they are your opponents, because you don't believe in what they're doing. Okay, there's no morality here. There is no moral consistency in what Mamdani is doing. He is applying clearly different standards depending on, who the victims are or who he's targeting, and all Americans should be concerned. A society cannot function when violence is selectively excused or when intimidation is a political tactic, and that is what we are seeing. So we are here standing up today. We are standing up to preserve our culture, and we want this to be resolved through the democratic processes, not fear, not coercion, not radicalization. So we are calling on Governor Hochul to remove Mamdani for office. And it's not just a one-time protest. This is going to be a sustained venture.
Oh, good. This is Brooke Goldstein. I'm very proud of Brooke. She's a tremendous attorney. Tremendous. Well-loved here in New York City, putting together this huge event tonight. There have been some people that have asked me, it's not my event, it's yours, but they've asked me about security because, again, these pro-Hamas animals, they roam the city with all the pleasure and all the freedom they want. What about security tonight for the folks that A, will be speaking and B, will be attending this big event?
Well, first of all, for those who are attending, the entrance is going to be on 87th Street and York Avenue. Again, 87th and York Avenue. We are so grateful to the NYPD. There will be a huge NYPD presence. They are shutting down the street for us. We have the entirety of 87th Street. We have tons of security. Unfortunately, that's the climate that we live in right now. But that's exactly why we're showing up to protest, ironically.
That's exactly why. And you got a bunch of fine people. Jane Zirkle, I love Jane. She does a great job also defending this city. She's one of your co-leaders in this big event. Okay, so one more time, Brooke, give out the time, the exact location. You got about 26 or 27 big-name speakers. This does promise to be one of the great events of the year. Just give out the specifics, if you would, one more time.
Well, first of all, thank you, Sid, for helping to continue advertise it. Please show up tonight, 7 p.m. We have shut down 87th Street, the entrances at York and 87th Street. Come with your End Your Hatred shirt. If you don't have one, we'll be giving them out. We're giving out posters. Bring your friends. The most important thing is to bring your friends and colleagues. We estimate there's going to be almost 1,000 people there today, which is a huge show of force. We're very excited. And remember, this is just the beginning.
Brooke, fantastic job. First of all, have a safe flight back home to New York from Miami. And I really do hope that New York shows up in big, big numbers for you later on tonight. This is a terrific job by you, Brooke Goldstein. Safe flight. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Sid.
Take care. Brooke Goldstein right there, the amazing attorney. And she has put together this big, big event outside of Gracie Mansion. Again, you can meet on 87th and York at 7 o'clock tonight, and it would be nice if New York came out with a strong showing. I mean, I know a lot of New Yorkers, thousands of us, showed up outside Madison Square Garden last night, and everybody loves the Knicks, right? You're a Republican, you love the Knicks. You're a Democrat, you love the Knicks. It doesn't matter. But if you love this city, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you should be there later on tonight. 87th and York at 7. Okay, we got 4 more great guests still to come. We'll talk to WFAN legend and lifelong Knick fan Joe Benigno. He'll be here. The great actor and comedian, also a lifelong Knick fan, Michael Rapaport. He's going to be here. Andrew Giuliani on the latest. An Ebola breakout can keep one team and one country from playing World Cup soccer, plus the latest on his father. And we'll also talk to the great cop hour guy, Bo Dietl. He's coming up next on the Tuesday Knickerbocker edition of Sid and Friends in the Morning.
Sid and Friends in the Morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Prayers go out to my dear friend, our dear friend who's listening right now, Mr. Peerless Boilers, the great Pete Morgan, surgery at 4 o'clock today, so we all send our best and our love. Bo Dietl, that's our guy too. We love him too, desperately. Uncle Bo, great cop, great Tuesday guest. Good Tuesday morning, Bo Dietl. How are you, pal?
Well,
Pete Morgan, that's who's on my mind. I love him, one of the great people I've ever met, and my prayers go out to him, truly, truly, truly. Yeah. Okay, I got a lot of stuff, Sid. All I know is let's start with the top, snaggletooth Hochul. She just passed this thing, I think it was on Sunday. She pushed through this bill as far as with ICE. And what they're doing is they're not allowing local police officers. So you grab a guy raping a 12-year-old little girl who is illegally in this country, the police officers cannot call ICE to bring him in to take this guy into federal custody. He's an illegal, violent criminal. Where do we miss this? Hey, Snaggletooth, where do you miss it? Maybe you should become a victim. Maybe your family members should become victims. And then I think you'll have a little different attitude. I'm talking about sex abuse on children, and they're not able to turn them over to the ICE group over there. Where is this? They had a group together, and the only one who should be fighting this, Bruce Blakeman and all these other county leaders with balls should sue New York State. But the only problem is you can sue New York State, but what are you going to get? You're going to get the same liberal judges there that are going to throw it out. We live in a vacuum of New York City and New York State, of these libs. And right now, on the line, there are 3 members running for United States Congress who are DSA members. This woman, I call him a woman, Brad Lander, we'll put him in with the woman category. And then you got Desalira Chevalier and Claire Velez. These are 3 people that are sworn to DSA. These are socialist communists. They are grown. Where is all the intelligent Democrats, you no-balls Democrats? Why are you fighting? You're afraid of the bartender, AOC? See, this moron, she's going to run for president. You know what? That's perfect. This moron asked for a question. She has no answer. She's so dumb. I listened to her. I'm sorry. I stumbled. Let's get back to.
I mean, for one second though, you think about the possibility.
Yeah.
Of Kamala Harris and AOC in the same ticket. By the way, that Brad, what is his name again? Brad Lander. That race. You talk about 2 guys who I can't stand. That's Brad Lander versus Daniel Goldman. I can't stand either one of them. I dislike Brad Lander more, but that is a race where neither one of those guys are good for New York. Neither one.
No. I mean, they're 2 douchebags. But here, now all of a sudden, let's stick with men dummy, because I don't want to let over. Even my friend Jeff Bezos, who's done a lot of things, he does a lot of good things. Hey, look, he's the guy that made himself a billionaire. Yeah. AOC, you friggin' fool, right? You threw them out of Queens when we could have 20,000 jobs over there because you're an idiot. All you got to do is, what do you want to drink? You want a gin and soda? You want a lime in it? That's your intelligence level. You bartender, boo. BITCH. Put it that way. Now, all of a sudden, even he came out and he looked at the budget that I spoke about last week with the Department of Education, where we're spending $44,000 a student, and the budget is up there for $45 billion. Here's what he said. Bezos said, if Amazon ever ran the way the public school runs public schools, you'd be waiting for weeks for your packages. You'll have to charge $100 delivery, and your package will never get there.
Yeah.
He said all this stuff with the teachers. Why aren't we looking at the education when children in the 4th grade level are reading under 28% level and math under 33? They're not doing it. You got a bunch of morons heading it up. And I tell you what, these teachers union, what was that ugly woman there, the head of the teachers that stole the
Randy Weingarten.
Yeah, that ugly son of a gun. Yeah, she's their leader. And on top of that, now what's been irking me, there's a lot of things that are irking me, but we're talking about Big Bird de Blasio. Remember him with the $1 billion with his ugly wife there, Charlene? Next thing is, they went to $1 billion when they were asked, what'd you do with the $1 billion? I don't know. It wasn't me, like Shaggy. Next thing is they want to put is $5 billion into the homeless. But hey, people, you know where this homeless money is going? Not for the veterans, not for the people, the Americans that are down and out. How about illegal migrants are getting it? They want $5 billion more. Just keep funneling our money up. We are turning into a toilet bowl. And then you got these nonprofit groups. Listen to this one. Anti-violence groups. This is great. Remember when Eric Adams started this BS, right? Next thing is they hired all these criminals to stop the gun violence. I haven't seen one stopping of any shooting, any guns They will not cooperate with the police. One guy was charged with 2 murders, and now they're making money. $100 million into these nonprofit groups with no checks and balances. Wonder why the city's going broke? It's because we're paying these stupid nonprofits. Oh, yeah, I'm going to start a nonprofit. Well, here's some money. Here's some money. You get the people to vote with. Here's the DSA scheme. You start a nonprofit, you support me, and you pull people out to vote for these scumbag Democrat socialists, and that's what they do. We keep giving you money. We keep giving you money. They're dumping millions. Why? And then when some guy slashed the guy in the face, one of the members of this group, the cops came in, and you know what the scumbag said? We don't cooperate with the police. Well, what the hell are you doing? Why are we paying you? What reasons? And then, I tell you, I read a really disgusting story about 2 uniformed cops with this gang member, and they're standing there in full uniform giving the gang signs. This is what we're getting on the police department because nobody wants to be a New York City cop. You know why? You got no support. These poor cops, if they proact and grab a guy that looks suspicious right away, why are you grabbing him? What are you doing? And then if you get a violent criminal and you're trying to arrest him, you try to arrest someone and put handcuffs. A guy 6'2" that just come out of jail, try to put handcuffs on him. You can't get him in a headlock, my favorite position. I did it 100 times. You can't climb on top of him. You're supposed to levitate over him. These poor cops. Then when you make the arrest, the guy will make an allegation. Well, you know something? He used the N-word on me. Oh, really? Drop all the charges on him. We're going after that cop. And I tell you what, we're going after his house in Long Island that he's been mortgaging and all that. And I tell you what, he's going to get fired. He'll get sued personally. Why would you want to be a cop? So they lowered the standards, and they're lowering them more and more. Next, they're going to allow people with nonviolent felonies to become cops because nobody wants the job. These poor cops are out there every day, and they're driving around. You know what the motto is? Don't get involved. Don't be proactive. And go home and get your pension and get the hell out. This is what we want for police. No, and anybody that denies what I'm saying is full of garbage. I talk to cops. I just was talking to the great cops out there in Nassau County. They go, thank God I left the job in New York City. We're in Nassau County. We're protected by Bruce Blakeman and the great police commissioner out there. This is the problem with what's going on in New York City. And some of the most important things is George Soros. Why isn't the Department of Justice setting up a conflict against him, a conspiracy to fund all these DSA and all these scumbag groups? Why aren't we going after George Soros? First of all, he should be in the ground. He should take the pipe. I tell you what, if he takes the pipe, you call me up, I will masturbate if Soros dies. Yes, I'm saying it, Soros. Go to the dirt nap. I hate you.
Yeah, no.
And on top of it, your man Montgomery. Oh, is he marching in the Israel Day Parade, Montgomery?
No, we don't want him.
No, and we're talking about, when we're talking about Montgomery, we got to stay right on this thing. We're talking about this is something in our city that we're being ripped apart. This is the beginning. This is their, what do you call it? I watched last night Tom Hanks' World War II on the History Channel. I was up all night watching it. What a great series. Watch that, and you see what happened with Russia. You see what happened with the Nazis. And you know what? It's coming our way, but it's coming our way in a different thing. I implore everyone to watch World War II on History Channel with Tom Hanks. You see how it started. And it's starting in New York. It's starting in Minnesota. They want to take our country over, and they want to make us a Muslim country. Don't you get it? Radical Muslim country. We must stop them. This is our Waterloo. We must stop them. And if we continue going into the hole with this smiley face scumbag mayor and this snaggletooth governor, all she does is appease. You know why she's appeasing? All she wants is the votes of New York City. Get her teeth fixed. She should go to your dentist.
Another great appearance by Bo Dietl right there. Yeah, my dentist is great. Anthony at, Smile Lab on 14th and Union Square, yanking out my teeth. But I'm going to be much healthier. That's a great job, Bo Dietl. I do believe that the Department of Justice is going after George Soros. That was one of the frustrations that President Trump had with Pam Bondi. I don't know if you know that. Obviously, the Epstein files, that was a frustration. The Jim Comey stuff, the FBI, that was a frustration. So was Soros. So I'm pretty sure that somebody there, maybe Musk. In fact, according to Vicky Palladino, the great counsel lady, it is Musk. At any rate, they are going after him. But listen, he's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of different organizations out there that are looking to make our life miserable in New York and around the country every day. But getting a guy like him and now his kid, what's his kid's name? Alex? I think it's Alex. He's with he's banging Anthony Weiner's ex-wife. They may be married. I don't even know. Huma Aberdeen. I forget. I don't care. Anyway, we'll take a short break. A lot more to do. Bo, you were magnificent. Off to a great start. Mike Lawler, Brooke Goldstein, Bo Dietl.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Happy birthday to the great Stevie Nicks right here. Stevie Fleetwood Mac turning 78 years old today. That's right, folks, 78. Hard to believe. Sexy Stevie Nicks, 78. And congratulations to our New York Knicks going back to the NBA Finals for the fourth time in team history. Of course, back in 1969, they beat the Lakers in 7. 1973, an easier time with the Lakers. They beat them in 5. In 1994, we lost in 7 to the Houston Rockets. And then the last time we were there 27 years ago, the Spurs took us out in 5. Fourth NBA Finals. Also, 4 head coaches, of course. Red Holtzman, he coached the Knicks in 69 and 73. Pat Riley in 94, the loss to Houston. Jeff Van Gundy, the 99 loss to San Antonio. And now you get Mike Brown, but just an unbelievable run here. I mean, I did sports talk radio, folks, for nearly 20 years, okay? I didn't just jump on the bandwagon. And I've been a Knick fan my whole life. And I've seen a lot of really good basketball teams. Those Ewing teams were good. They were never great. Those Ewing teams were never great. He was great, and they were a lunch pail crew. Pat Riley, Van Gundy, really Pat Riley's 94 team, they just beat you up. I mean, I know the Bulls would walk on the court. Not Jordan, but these other guys were scared to death when Michael stepped away from the game. He wasn't there in 94 or 99. When he stepped away from the game, and Pippen and Xavier McDaniel, those guys would walk on the court, the Knicks would scare the hell out of them. Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason for a while there, Xavier McDaniel. The Knicks just beat you up, and they had Ewing, a great player. Obviously, John Starks was a guy that they relied on for the perimeter game. And then, of course, the 99 team, they acquired some real athletes, people like Latrell Sprewell from Golden State, Marcus Camby in the Oakley trade from Toronto, but they still came up short. This team is the best team I've ever seen. Now, again, I was only 6 years old in 1973 when Frazier and Monroe and that Knick team won the championship. I was only 2 years old in 1969, so I don't have vivid memories of those Knick clubs. So in my lifetime, of all the teams that I've seen make the playoffs and get this far, this is by far the most dominating team I've seen. They are just killing these teams. I know Atlanta's not great. I know Philadelphia's not great. Despite Jim's Harden contention, I know Cleveland is not great. But they're not just winning. They are blowing these teams off the court. These games are over in the second quarter. I mean, it is unbelievable. And everybody's contributing. You know, it's not just Brunson and Bridges and Towns and Anunoby. It's Landry Shamet. You know, it's McBride. It's the whole team. So this is a great group to watch. Very exciting. I'll keep an eye on tonight's Game 5 out west between San Antonio and Oklahoma City. That series has now been reduced to a best of 3, right? With Oklahoma City getting 2 home games in the final 3. Oklahoma City, of course, is the reigning NBA champs. But as I said on Twitter this morning, and my feeling is that both Michael Rapaport and Joe Benigno still to join me, they'll say the same thing. I'm not partying yet. I'm sorry. You know, getting to the NBA Finals and losing like we did in 94 to the Rockets and 99 to San Antonio, that doesn't do it for me. This team has been explosive. They've destroyed the competition. They've won 11 consecutive playoff games since a Game 3 loss to the Hawks. And right now, there's no reason to believe and even expect that this Knick team will win the championship. If they don't, I'm going to be disappointed. Sorry. Getting there, who remembers who lost the Super Bowl? You know, yeah, if you Scott Norwood, you miss a kick, you remember that, okay?
They remember, yeah.
Right, if you miss a big kick in the Super Bowl or you drop a pass like Wes Welker did against the Giants. They'll remember that, but you remember the winners. And the Knicks, the way they're playing now, there's no reason, as good as Oklahoma City is, and San Antonio with Wembanyama, there's no reason to believe they can't win the whole thing. They are deep, and they have a lot of guys who can beat you. A lot. So we will talk a lot of Knick basketball the rest of the day and the rest of the week. Stephen A. Smith will stop by. I'll probably get Mike Breen back. So I know WFAN is the big sports station in town, ESPN. I can guarantee you none of those guys, from Boomer Esiason to the rest of those guys, will get you better Knick coverage than me. None of them. I've been doing sports talk radio a lot longer than any of them, and I've covered the Knicks for a lot of years, a lot. So I know we do a lot of Trump and a lot of Mamdani, a lot of politics on this show, but if you love local sports and you're a Knick fan, believe me, you miss nothing if you're with me instead of the guys across the street. You miss nothing. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. This promises to be a great conversation. A lot to talk about with the son of the greatest mayor in the history of New York and the man that President Trump has put in charge of World Cup soccer, which, believe it or not, starts in about 2 weeks. The great Andrew Giuliani. He's next on the Knickerbocker Tuesday edition of Sid and Friends in the Morning.
Sid and Friends in the Morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, so this starts our run on this Tuesday morning of 3 really good sports guys in a row. That's not all they do. Andrew Giuliani, of course, is guy ran for governor and did a great job. Michael Rapaport is a great comedian and actor. Benigno is a sports guy. We'll get to all 3 on the Knicks. But we start with Andrew Giuliani, and I don't think you folks know how close Andrew and I are. I mean, he was on the radio show quite a bit, and people seem to think they've got an idea, but we're really close. And when his dad, Rudy, fell sick a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I don't know, I texted Andrew right away, and he got right back to me right away, and that was a very, very difficult time. We know the priest, in fact, at one point gave Rudy his last rites, and thank God he's doing okay now. But, Andrew, I want to start right here with America's mayor, your father, who you love so much. That was a very scary time for you, the family, and quite frankly, all of New York.
Well, thank you, Sid, and thank you for reaching out immediately. And for so many New Yorkers, I can tell you I still have, a couple thousand text messages that I still need to get through because it was amazing, and it was just so beautiful to see just how many lives that he's affected. But you're absolutely right. I mean, I got down to the hospital in Florida on a Sunday night, and he had just received his last rites. He was unconscious. He was on a ventilator. But as Rudy Giuliani does, and as New Yorkers do, he battled back. And now I would say he's 95%. The guy is traveling around again. He's feeling good. I could tell he was getting better the next day when Monday night he looked at me and he told me, "You need to get your ass back to D.C." and I told him, "Dad, if you get yourself out of the ICU tonight, tomorrow morning, I'll take the first flight back to D.C." I think I took the third flight back to D.C., so I might not have been completely honest, but I got my ass back to D.C. as he wanted, and working on this incredible project. So, but as a son, as you know, Sid, I'm so proud of him to just see the resilience that he's shown our country, not just throughout his life, but especially over the last 5 years. I'm such a proud son.
One more on your dad. We all know, of course, he was the greatest mayor ever. I say he's the greatest mayor of any city ever, and our dear mutual friend President Trump agrees. But if you ever had a doubt, right? I mean, if you're kind of battling back and forth about how good your dad Rudy was in that position, take a look at the jerk-off we've got as mayor right now, and it becomes clearly obvious how good your dad was, right?
I remember you used to say this around when de Blasio was mayor, but people would go up to him and say, "You're a lot better than de Blasio." And he would say, "Well, is that a compliment or is that a criticism right there? Because anybody would be better than de Blasio." I think you're absolutely right. I think when you look at obviously the body of work that he did, and I think one of the amazing things, I was talking about this the other day, was creating an accountability mechanism, creating CompStat, creating a numeric system where New Yorkers could actually go and track how a mayor was doing. I think was really, really key, because then we'll be able to tell once violent crime starts to go up, you'll be able to hold a mayor accountable based off of the actual numbers in a neighborhood. New Yorkers can go and look at that. Certainly, yeah, look, you can manipulate those numbers as a department or certainly as a politician. But it starts to become tougher and tougher once people start seeing their quality of lives, it rapidly devolve, and then the numbers are there to back it up.
One more on mayor. You ran for governor. You did an amazing job. Came in second to Lee Zeldin to represent the Republicans. You would have beaten Hochul, but that's old news. I'm sure you'll be governor of Florida one day. I'm betting on that. And your dad was the mayor. And every day, Andrew, I'm not exaggerating. I think you know this. Every day somebody else, whether it's Laura Trump or Bruce Blakeman, says to me, you should really consider running in 2029. And, look, I've got this great radio gig. I'm about to sign an extension, hopefully, and make a lot of money the next couple of years. But New Yorkers are so desperate at this point for somebody with a little bit of balls to step up and do something that I swear to you, Andrew, every day. Now, Danielle will kill me. She's not kidding. She'll divorce me, which I'm not going to go through that. But should I consider that, or is that completely crazy?
I think you absolutely have to. I mean, look, you love our city. You have an incredible voice. And I think that, as somebody who, in his life was a Democrat, now is a Republican, but as somebody who basically has looked and said, hey, this is a party that had left me. I think you could probably speak to New Yorkers in a pretty unique way. So, I mean, I think you absolutely have to look at it and see what you can do to save our city.
So I'm adding Andrew Giuliani to the list. It's a very impressive list already, I got to tell you. Now, but I haven't talked to Trump about it yet, and I had the opportunity to see Trump on Friday. He was up in Rockland County. He was there, Andrew Giuliani, to endorse Mike Lawler. It was a great rally. Trump spoke, and Mike spoke, and Bruce Blakeman, Howard Lutnick, and I don't know if you saw, but, he didn't know I was there because on the right side, in the front row, on the right side was all those dignitaries. I was in the front row too, but all the way on the left side. He never saw me. He didn't know I was there. But as he was exiting the runway, walking off the stage, he saw me. His face lit up, and he actually gave me the finger motion to come see him. So here I am jumping over the barricade. Secret Service came at me. Trump is like, leave him. And I spent a good 30 seconds shaking hands and whispering in Trump's ear. He whispered in mine. The video was everywhere. Everybody's seen it since then. Just another time where President Trump went out of his way to make sure he said hello to me. And every time, Andrew, it's special. Every time.
Oh, well, hey, look, the guy is there. There's nobody I met that's more charismatic than Donald Trump. That really, really. And look, you guys have a fantastic relationship. It's so fun to see it budding, and aren't there special opportunities when you get to see him in his element, speaking like that, and you get to see all the people. I mean, Jaxson Dart out there introducing him. How cool it is to see somebody who's a 23-year-old young budding star in New York who understands how important it is to introduce the President of the United States, especially this president, to his home state. We're going to call New York his home state. We're not going to call New Jersey. New York, his home state. To introduce the President of the United States to his home state. What an amazing opportunity for all of us to get the opportunity to be around him. It really, really is amazing. And it's wonderful to see from my perspective the great relationship you guys have.
Which you played a major part in, man. A major part. Inviting me early on when he was campaigning years ago, inviting me to Mar-a-Lago, inviting me to the golf course for that epic lunch where he and I spoke, pretty much just the two of us, for about 45 minutes, putting him on the cell phone on the golf course years ago, Andrew. I mean, you've been such an integral part of this relationship between me and Trump. But you mentioned Jaxson Dart. Here's another story I want to get to, because you, like me, are a diehard New York football Giant fan. Diehard fan. Here's Dart. He looked great. I was standing 10 feet from him. And as soon as the rally is over, you got Abdul Carter, who the Giants took in the first round out of Penn State 2 years ago. He was so good, we drafted another linebacker this year. But Abdul Carter comes out, and he just eviscerates Jaxson Dart. Then you got that racist writer from the New York Daily News, Leonard Green, who writes a story on Sunday that Jaxson Dart gets a 15-yard penalty for hanging out with President Trump. I mean, we are in the stage now in America. You're not allowed to like President Trump. You've got Giant teammates and writers in New York giving Jaxson Dart a hard time. What the hell is that all about?
Well, it's Trump derangement syndrome, right? That's what it comes down to. The president named it perfectly. That's what it is. People take their rationality, take just the idea of, hey, the opportunity to introduce a president of the United States to be able to do that in your home state, regardless of what your politics are, and then to go and criticize him for doing that. I mean, look, I think to me it just shows just how irrational people are, especially a president like this who's done so much to improve the world, who's done so much to improve the United States of America. And going back to you, Sid, here on this, and this is just the person that Donald Trump is, I think the fact that you guys were able to get close during the campaign, maybe at a point when people weren't getting close to Donald Trump because they were keeping him at arm's length. Maybe the fact that you ultimately were getting close to him at a time when other people weren't. I think he remembers that, and I think he holds that very, very highly and very, very closely. Loyalty is very important to him.
This is a great Andrew Giuliani, who, of course, President Trump put in charge of FIFA. It's a big deal. We'll get to that. I think you're right, because his most ardent supporters now are the same people. You remember, Andrew, that were telling me on the air, I like his policies, but he can't win. He's not going to beat DeSantis. He's not going to beat Haley. And you remember, I was like, people, shut up. They're not going to come close. Remember, I gave them no chance of even competing. And who was right in the end? Us.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we called that one right there, Sid. And obviously, anybody who would rule out Donald Trump, it's like, it's like ruling out Tiger Woods over a key putt in his prime, right? You're not gonna rule him out. He's gonna make that putt. It's the same thing with Donald J. Trump. If you put him on the ballot against somebody, he's gonna win, and that's really the magic of Donald Trump.
One more sports issue beyond soccer, or sports story, I should say. You're just a great New York sports kid, Andrew. We remember you 7 years old rooting for the New York Yankees. And let's go to the Knicks. I know you're a Giant fan, a Yankee fan, a Knicks fan. First time in 27 years. I don't know how old you were the last time the Knicks actually made the NBA Finals. It wasn't great. They lost in 5 to San Antonio. They may very well be taking on San Antonio again. There's a big Game 5 in Oklahoma City later on tonight. But the way this team has played, 11 consecutive wins, just blowing the doors off Atlanta, Philadelphia, Cleveland, not even competitive. James Harden going on and on how the Cavaliers are the better team. I mean, when Alonzo Mourning used to say that, and he said it every time the Knicks beat him, those games came down to like an Allen Houston floater at the buzzer. You can make that argument. Cleveland's losing by 35 points every night. What in God's name is James Harden talking about? But more importantly, how about our New York Knickerbockers?
I've never seen anything like it, to have 3 closeout games on the road of 30 points or more. I mean, it really, really is amazing. And whoever they play, whether it's Oklahoma City or obviously Wembanyama-led San Antonio, they're going to be tough. But these Knicks, I'll tell you what, the way that they play, the fact that they get to 130 points last night without anybody scoring 20 points, it shows how many different ways they can attack you. They really, really are playing great team basketball. I guess a couple other little things about that. I certainly remember that 98 finals run, the Larry Johnson 4-point play and the Sprewell Knicks and all that stuff. The last finals game I went to, though, actually was the same day as the opening day of the World Cup in 1994 when OJ was driving down the freeway here.
Game 5.
In Los Angeles.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. Game 5. And I remember that. I remember people going outside, out to the bowl to be able to watch the TVs where the concession stands were and how the stadium was seemed like it was half empty there. I mean, truly, truly amazing. Well, now that the World Cup and the Knicks are back in the finals over here, as somebody who's running the World Cup for the president, let's hope we don't have some major football star that's driving down the 405 freeway here come June 12th this year. That would not be good.
That would not be good. You're right. And
but I'll tell you, one really cool moment as a New Yorker and as a father last night, my daughter was about to go to sleep, and I just had her on the couch with me, and I was telling her the last time that the Knicks made the finals, Daddy was a young boy here, and she fell asleep on my chest while the Knicks ended up closing the game out. And I think it's one of those moments that New Yorkers really, really share, that sports can really do, where you can connect generations in a way that other things just can't. It's why sports is such an important part of our civic life. And to the point that you were making before, it's why politics really should take a back door when you're talking to sports. When we can just all sit down, go root for the orange and blue of the Knicks there, then that's what it really should be about more than anything else. It's such an important part of our civic life, and congrats to the Knicks. I hope they go win their next 4 games and hope they come to the White House here to come see President Trump.
And your dad is always quick to boast, the great Mayor Rudy Giuliani, when he was in charge of New York, right? Our teams won 5 championships, 5 with the Yankees, the Giants, and yes, the New York Rangers, even winning a Stanley Cup, all when your father ran this city. 5 championships for Rudy Giuliani. I'd hate to see one from Mamdani, but I get with the Knicks, I'll take it. Let's get to the other
one for Trump. We'll call it one
right,
for Trump.
Right, one for Trump. There you go.
One for Trump.
You know, when Trump was on with me about 3 weeks ago, I asked him about the Knicks. I said, Mr. President, I've got a lot of pictures of you sitting courtside at the Knicks. I said, are you still a Knicks fan? This is right after they beat Philadelphia. And he said, oh, yeah. He goes, I like James Dolan a lot. I like him a lot. He goes, they beat that Philadelphia team. He mentioned Joel Embiid. He almost fell off my chair. And he said, yeah, I like James Dolan. I still love the Knicks. So we'll make it a President Trump-Nick win. About 3 minutes ago, let's get to the World Cup. Again, you said it. It starts on June the 11th, right around the corner. This Ebola breakout is a big deal. I had a couple of guests on last week talking about it, and it seems like the Congo team, they're in big trouble. They got a bunch of people in that country that are infected, that are sick, that are dying. So unless, you said this, unless they actually isolate the Congo team for 21 days, no soccer for the Congo.
Yeah, and we've been talking with the CDC multiple times a day about this, and they're doing their contact tracing on the team. I think the one good news here, and obviously this is evolving as we continue to gain situational awareness, the one piece of good news here is the team has been playing a European schedule, so they have not been back in the Democratic Republic of the Congo for over 21 days. So they're isolating now in Europe. They'll stay in Europe. One of the things that we made very, very clear last week to the very top of FIFA and to the health minister in the Democratic Republic of Congo was do not have the team come back to Congo. They were supposed to do a farewell tour, obviously. First time the country qualified for the World Cup in over 50 years that people were excited. But we told them, hey, look, if they go back to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, they are not coming to the United States of America, and we'll play the tournament with 47 teams. We are not risking any kind of an outbreak. So the team right now, they are in their own bubble. They are practicing in Europe. All appears to be well with them. We're monitoring, make sure that everybody is asymptomatic, that there are no issues at all right there. But the other thing that we told them very, very clearly was they could not reintroduce people or introduce people that had been in the Democratic Republic of Congo in the last 21 days into that bubble. If they were to do that, if they were to introduce team officials or any other potential players that have been in the Congo within the last 21 days, and then they were to be symptomatic, then they'd be risking the entire team coming to the United States of America. So obviously we're taking this very, very seriously. There have been no cases in the United States of America. We want to keep it that way, and we're going to make sure that we continue to lean into this to make sure that Americans and all of our friends that are coming to visit us, not just for the World Cup, but for America's 250th birthday, are safe and have a great experience.
I want to get you on one more time before the 11th. Talk about the birthday. Talk about, the actual football. Talk about this American team. A couple of guys
Soccer.
We're
still doing
right,
soccer.
Right. Diego Luna didn't make the team. People are upset. We'll get to all that when you come back on next week. But on the way out, I know he's got Iran to worry about. He's got the midterms. He's got the Democrats. And, again, just watching President Trump, I should say, speak right in front of me for over an hour just a couple of days ago. He's got a lot on his plate. But has there been a decent amount of talk between you and him leading up to this first day of soccer?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, he is intently focused on this. Look, he understands more than anything what an opportunity it is for America to be able to show off American greatness to the rest of the world than this World Cup. I mean, you'll have over 2 billion people watching the final alone, thinking about over 10 billion people watching throughout the tournament, 10 billion views, I should say, on television alone. Forget about the social media impact throughout the length of this tournament. So you have most of the world watching. It's an unbelievable opportunity, I think, to be able to really show the world what the United States is about. And I've got to tell you, some of the numbers that we're seeing here, just on some of the travel surveys over the last year since President Trump has been back in office, something like 80% of those that travel to the United States for the first time have a more positive view of the United States than they did before they came to the U.S. What does that tell you, Sid? It tells me two things. First off, President Trump is absolutely right. We are in the golden age of America. And the second thing is, the media might not always be the most honest people in the world. If they're telling these fantastic lies about the United States, what better way to show it off than to be able to invite them here for this World Cup? And who's better to host this World Cup than the 45th and 47th president and our good friend, Donald J. Trump?
Perfectly said. I can't wait to get you back again before June 11th. This was a magnificent conversation, Andrew Giuliani. It always is with you. You're amazing. I love you, pal. So I know you're traveling a lot today. You're flying to about 10 different places. Have a safe trip, and I look forward to talking to you again a couple times before we actually start the event on June the 11th. Andrew Giuliani, great job. I love you. Thanks, pal.
Thanks, Sid. Go Knickerbockers.
Go Knickerbockers. There he is, Andrew Giuliani, in charge of probably the biggest event ever. This is going to be the biggest event ever. That's the confidence President Trump has in Andrew Giuliani. I share it as well. Quick break. We'll come back with Michael Rapaport and Joe Benigno on the Tuesday edition of Sid and Friends in the Morning.
Sid and Friends in the Morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You know, I go back to 94. Mike, were you doing the Knicks back in 1994?
Yeah, I was doing radio.
You were doing radio. So let's go back to the finals. The Knicks are taking on the Rockets, okay? And all these people are inside Madison Square Garden watching this series. And then all of a sudden, nobody's sitting in their seats. They're all by the concession stands watching the TVs because there's a white Ford Bronco chase with O.J. Simpson and A.C. Cowlings. And isn't it ironic that yesterday, as the Knicks get set to start the Eastern Conference Finals, that Mark Furman, who became kind of the star of that O.J. trial, he died yesterday, bringing back memories of 1994, right?
Yeah, I saw the news about Mark Furman, and I remember that game so well. It's Game 5. I'm sitting doing radio in the booth, and we had a TV monitor. And, you know, I'm a young broadcaster. That was the biggest game I've ever broadcast. And I'm losing my focus because I'm watching the Bronco, because NBC had a split screen. They had the Bronco and they had the game. And I remember saying to my statistician, Harry Robinson, hey, Harry, you got to turn the TV off. I can't concentrate. And he went to turn the TV off. And that old broadcast location was in the middle of the stands. It was about 10 rows up. And all the fans around us, who we knew from being around all year, they're screaming at me, no, you can't turn the TV off. They wouldn't let me turn the TV off. Yeah. So here it is. It's the biggest game I've ever broadcast in my career. And I couldn't concentrate because of the compelling thing that was on the television with the white Bronco.
I tell you this story. Years and years ago, Danielle and I, beautiful wife and I, went to see Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden. And you know who's standing next to us or sitting next to us? Larry Goodman, Dancing Larry. And he would do the same dance he does to that song at Ranger games, like when Billy Joel was singing Uptown Girl or one of his upbeat songs. You know, he'd break into, he'd do that dance, Lou, exactly. So no matter where you were at the Garden, whether it's a Knick game, a Ranger game, a concert, Dancing Larry was going to come through for you.
She's got a way.
Yeah, I'm not sure he did on that one. Yeah, honesty. Anyway, Michael Rapaport is one of the great actors in my generation. I mean that. True Romance, Higher Learning. He was so phenomenal in this cable TV show. We really loved it. Atypical. But whenever you put the TV on, you see Michael Rapaport. He's like Michael Caine. Like Michael Caine was in every movie. Everyone for about 40 years. You put on Law & Order, there's Michael Rapaport. You put on some old movie about New Edition, there's Michael Rapaport. He's a great actor. He's also a terrific comedian, but he's given up a lot. He's given up a lot over the last couple of years because he's a Jewish boy, and he's been back and forth to Israel about 100 times, and Hollywood hates him because of that. That's the bottom line. He may not tell you exactly what he's lost, but I don't even know the exact numbers, but he's lost plenty. Because he's a man of integrity. He loves the Jewish people. He loves Israel, and I love him. He's got a great documentary about to come out. I can't wait to go see it on June the 9th at the Tribeca Film Festival. But he's also known, Mike Rapaport, as a huge basketball guy. In fact, when the 3-on-3 league started with Ice Cube, Mike was doing a lot of the on-court stuff. Big Knick fan, huge Knick fan. And on this day, I had to have him. So here he is, the great comedian and actor, Michael Rapaport. Mike, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Sid, I am a pessimistic Knicks fan like all of the Knicks fans that are over 30 years old.
Right.
And the Knicks are going to win the NBA championship. I've never said that before. I've never said that before. I've never even thought it before. We're going to beat the crap out of either the Spurs or OKC. We are playing so well, so cohesively, so together, so for the team. And we are peaking. And we dominated Cleveland. I mean, if you listen to some of the clips from the post game of James Harden and Donovan Mitchell and
they
Kenny
sound
Atkinson.
ridiculous. They sound. Kenny Atkinson, before the game, the coach of the Cavaliers, actually said analytically we're beating the Knicks. Mind you, he's down 3-0. And even after the loss, and they lost by a lot. This was not Alonzo Mourning saying this when the Knicks had to win the game on an Allen Houston floater. They lost by an average of 25 points, and Jimmy Harden still said after the series, we're the better team. What a moron.
What do you? That's going to go down in history. That's one of the worst quotes ever. They didn't just beat the crap out of Cleveland and Philadelphia and Atlanta. I mean, they dominated them. And the fact that Landry Shamet is clicking on all cylinders from top to bottom, the whole team. Like I'm not afraid of Victor Wembanyama on the Spurs. I'm not afraid of Shea. These guys are duking it out there in the West. They're going to come and beat up, tattered, and exhausted. And the Knicks have earned this break because every single game they play better and better and better and better and better. And I truly feel from the bottom of my toes to the top of my beautiful, beautiful blonde, a little bit of speckled gray hair, that the Knicks are winning the NBA championship. And I've never said that because I've been beaten down.
Right.
I've been disappointed like all of us.
Of course.
I see these kids outside of the Garden and they're having a good time. And I'm like, why are they celebrating? Because they didn't grow up the way we did. And nor should they have the pain and the disappointment and the agony that we have had.
It makes me mad, though. I mentioned that in the first segment today, back at like 6 o'clock, that I see all these, these young kids and these girls.
Them go, Sid.
Yeah, I know, but they weren't
younger.
there. They weren't there for the Edmund Sherrod, Rory Sparrow, Sly Williams days. Like we had to go through.
They're New York fans, and,
I know.
and nor should they have to. We deserve better. We shouldn't be sitting here. Like I talked to people yesterday. They got voodoo dolls. People are like talking to astrologists. Some people won't move off the couch in between games, the superstition. But I go, these are all grown-ups.
Yeah.
The kids, they should be free. They should be excited. Let them go nuts. They shouldn't have to suffer with years and years of Charles Smith missed layups and Sly Williams, like you mentioned, and the great Michael Ray Richardson and the Bernard King, the highs, the lows, the agony, and all the Pat Ewing and the finger rolls and the Glenn Gondrezick and all of it. We shouldn't have to be that way. And I'm
you're
glad
right.
These kids are able to
No,
celebrate.
you're right. They're having fun. I remember watching Michael Ray, who was my favorite Knick for a while there. Bernard King was my favorite Knick, then Ewing. Now we'll see about Brunson, but I remember seeing Michael Ray play. They used to have this game at Kucher's Sports Academy in upstate New York every year. They called it the Maurice Stokes basketball game, Maurice Stokes. And they'd have like the greatest players in the league would go to upstate New York to Kucher's Sports Academy, and I met Michael Ray Richardson there. But I want to get back to what you said. Okay, the Knicks are going to win the championship. Okay, so if they don't, and they suffer their third consecutive NBA Finals loss right after 94 Houston. No, because I want to know.
Why are you speaking these words?
I know, but will you be disappointed? Because my point is, I tweeted this. Yes, I tweeted this at 4 o'clock this morning. Now the expectations are NBA Finals is not good enough. We need to be the champs.
This is New York. This is not Cleveland. This is not OKC. This is not Missouri or any of. This is New York, the mecca of basketball. Madison Square Garden. They call it the city game. We have to be able to earn that and say that with pride. No, the championship, the finals means ugats. It means absolutely, positively nothing. We've done that before. We did it in 99. We've come close. We have no cigar. It do not mean a thing if you ain't got the ring, Sid. Yes, it won't mean anything. I can't take it again. I spoke it into existence. I hope I didn't jinx myself and the Knicks. But we're better. We're playing better right now, and this is what it matters. We are playing better right now than OKC and the Spurs.
Yeah,
both those teams.
Better than anybody. No, listen, we are playing like no team I've ever seen. I didn't see Magic Lakers do this. I didn't see Birds Celtics do this. Michael's Bulls not winning by 30 points every game. 3 closeouts on the road by 25 to 30 points. I've never seen a team do that, Michael. Never. So is this? I know you love all the New York sports teams, but I love it like when you talk to my son Gabriel, because his favorite team by far is the Knicks. He likes the Yankees, he likes the Giants, but his favorite team is the Knicks. I get the feeling in terms of New York sports teams, you're with Gabriel, yes?
My favorite sport is basketball, and yeah, my favorite team is the Knicks. I mean, the New York football Giants, but it's different, like I grew up playing basketball. In New York City, basketball courts are part of the structure of New York, whether they're being used or not. Like, basketball is our sport. There's baskets all over. I love basketball. I love the Knicks. I love the Garden.
Have you ever played? Because I know you can play ball, Michael. I know you can play basketball. I've seen you in celebrity games over the years before you got old and the knees went on you. Have you ever played at West? Have you ever played at West 4th Street ever?
I've shot around at West 4th Street. I never played at West 4th Street, but I played it, no disrespect to West 4th Street. It's a great place. It's iconic. It's competitive. The baskets, with the cage, and it's small, and it's very, very New York. But I feel like where I grew up playing in high school was even better basketball players out in Brooklyn and in those places. But, I mean, New York City basketball, street ball is just – it's one of a kind, and, I hope that these pickleball courts don't take over all the basketball courts. And I think that Jalen Brunson, one thing about him, Sid, is that when you look at the way he plays, the style that he plays, the basic, he doesn't dunk, he's not high flying, he's not 7'4" like Wembanyama, he's not even shooting from half court like Steph Curry. You can be like Jalen. Like, you can go to the court and practice and imagine yourself being Jalen Brunson, because what he does is so fundamentally fit and so fundamentally sound. And I'm so proud of this team. They're understated. They're classy. They're like these nerds. They really, truly love each other. They understand what it means to play for New York. And I feel like as a sports fan, we couldn't have a better group of guys representing New York.
No, I agree.
Basketball
I agree.
Right
They're
now.
fighters. And by the way, my son Gabriel does play at West 4th. You'd be proud of him, Michael. But
does he?
Yeah, he does. He goes out there and he actually wins every now and then. He's not taking on Lou Alcindor, of course, or Connie Hawkins, but he's out there taking on some pretty good competition and winning games. He loves that. He loves that. He loves that court. He really does. So I just had Andrew Giuliani on this show right before you, Michael, and we talked about when his father was mayor, when Rudy Giuliani was mayor, the greatest mayor ever. He's, during his stay as mayor, New York won 5 sports championships. The Giants won, the Yankees won, and believe it or not, he was mayor when the Rangers, with Mark Messier, won the 94 Cup. They won 5. I said, it's going to bother me just a little. I can't lie. It's going to bother me just a little if the Knicks win and it's Mamdani City. How about you?
He's got nothing to do with it. You see him shooting baskets? He shoots like a Tinkerbell. He don't play basketball. He don't know nothing about basketball. He's a fair weather.
What do you mean?
fan.
He's on Twitter after every game, him and Kathy Hochul.
He knows nothing. You don't see him at Carl Schurz Park, right where Gracie Mansion is, shooting around. He don't play basketball. He don't know basketball. He ain't a sports guy. He don't know nothing about basketball. He don't know anything about the history of the Knicks. He doesn't know who Glenn Gondrezick is, Ray Williams. He wasn't there when we had hopes and dreams with Bill Cartwright and Marvin Webster.
Yes.
Give me a break. Come on.
We did. We had Cartwright and Webster. And
Hours.
I know. And then we traded Cartwright to the Bulls to get Charles Oakley. That worked out pretty well. But, I mean, there's so many painful days. I remember, like I said earlier, watching Edmund Sherrod and Rory Sparrow and Lewis Orr and drafting Kenny Skywalker. And you think Mamdani has heard of any of those guys? Any of those guys?
He knows nothing. He doesn't know about a jump hook. He can't make a layup with his left hand, his right hand. I'll have a free throw shooting contest with him anytime, any play. Come on, Sid. Come on. If we win this when we win this championship, it has nothing to do with him. But let me ask you a question. Maybe you should ask one of your city people. When we win this NBA championship, I feel like the 5 boroughs deserves a parade because it is the city game. I don't know how it can't just be in Manhattan. And I love Manhattan. It's where I'm from. But every borough needs to touch float of these
I agree.
players.
Listen, my wife Danielle can tell you, I spent 25 years playing basketball in Marine Park in Brooklyn. Chris Mullin, he was reared there. Some of those Boston College kids were reared there, but Chris Mullin is probably the most famous, and his brother Terrence Mullin, right there in Brooklyn, right there by that little school in Marine Park. And there are so many great courts. I live in Queens now, and the Bronx certainly. You're right. I don't know how you just reduce it to a Manhattan ticket tape parade. I'm sure there'll be parties in every borough. Look, I thank God I'm old enough to remember the 4 giant Super Bowl wins. 4 folks, right? The 86 over Elway and the Broncos with Bill Sims, 90 with Hostetler over the Buffalo Bills, and the 2 Eli Manning wins over New England. Mets in 86, all the Yankee championships as well. But this one, and the Rangers, with just 1 in 90 years in 94. But this one, that's it, 1 in 90 years. But this one, when the Knicks, not if, like you say, when the Knicks win, this may be the biggest. You know, we always argue about the most popular sports teams in this city. And even though football is the most popular sport in this country by a mile, it's not close. The 2 biggest teams in this city are the Yankees and the Knicks. That's the bottom line.
I totally agree. And because we've been so beaten down since 1973, and it's like a part of our demeanor as Knicks fans, you know, like it's shameful in a way. It's like we're not the Chicago Cubs. We're not the miserable Boston Red Sox. This shouldn't be part of our childhood, our 20s, our 30s, our 40s. We should have rings. We haven't had rings. This will be unprecedented, especially now, and the phones and the excitement and the Twitter and these young kids and the people our age and even older who have been suffering for year and year and year and year. When the Knicks win this championship, it's going to be something we've never seen before. And I just hope that when the Knicks win the championship, we celebrate, we party, and there's no destruction of the city because it is the greatest city in the world.
Right, we're not Detroit, Los Angeles. We're not going to set our cars on fire, although who knows, these pro-Hamas people may. Orrin Port checks in, my good buddy. He mentions Bob McAdoo and Spencer Haywood. Remember the great Spencer Haywood, those teams too. But, yeah, we're on the verge of something very, very special here. That's the good news. But in the final 2 minutes, Michael, the bad news is we got a big rally tonight. I had Brooke Goldstein on earlier. I like her a lot. And she's putting together about 1,000. She is great. About 1,000 people at Gracie Mansion tonight in their effort to remove Mamdani. It's not going to work. The only person that can do that is Kathy Hochul. But you see this. You talked about running for mayor, and I really hope you do it. I talk about it, too, but the odds are you will do it, and I won't. Those are the overwhelmingly good odds. But the city is still it's still a mess, even with the Knicks playing great basketball. And with this guy running this city, it's only going to get worse. It's almost like we need the Knicks to win, Mike, because everything else is a disaster.
I agree. And, you know, my wife this morning when we were talking about the wins, she said, do you think the Knicks winning could help bring the city together? And I said, it could bring the city together for a few hours. But, the breach in the city and the divisiveness by Zoran the moron, the Knicks winning a championship, back-to-back championship, three-peating championship ain't going to help. This guy has an agenda, and it's not about the Knicks winning championships. It's his own personal agenda. It's a socialist agenda. It's an anti-Jewish agenda. And it's a divisive agenda. So, unfortunately, I don't think that even us winning this championship, which we're going to do in a few weeks, will help. And, I just want, people to be safe, and I want people to be comfortable, and I want people, to really be proud of
being from here and living here and feel comfortable and to feel, that they don't have to, feel any kind of shame for any of the beliefs. And I feel like Zoran, his legacy is he's brought that to New York, where people are feeling uncomfortable, and it's not acceptable for any city, let alone the greatest city in the world.
He's completely okay with 5,000 pro-Hamas animals.
Yes.
Running the streets of Bay Ridge, but God forbid 3,000 show up outside Madison Square Garden to celebrate the Knicks. He got to shut that down. How does that make sense?
Yes, exactly, 100%. There's been one riot after another person harassed outside of synagogues, and he does nothing, and it's, and let people be free and blah, blah, blah. And that incident outside the Garden, it's not acceptable. Have fun, party, get crazy, get nutty, but, keep your hands off each other. We're all together. He's full of crap. We know this. And, like I said, the Knicks winning this championship has nothing to do with Zoran, the moron, who can't shoot a free throw if his life depended on it.
Michael, you're gorgeous. When we find out who they're going to play, again, that Western Conference Series now reduced to a best-of-3 Game 5 at the reigning champs, Oklahoma City, tonight. So whether it's Oklahoma City or San Antonio, when we find out, let's get you back here, maybe in studio, and break down the NBA Finals with you, because you are the absolute best. Mike Rapaport, I love you. Thank you so much.
Love you too, Sid. Have a great day, everyone.
Great job. And say hello to your wife, too. She's a lovely lady. Michael Rapaport right here on Sid and Friends in the morning. We'll take a break. Nomi's got the news.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Rob Bass. It's a great song. I think he passed away maybe yesterday, a couple of days ago. Is that right, Lewis?
I think it's yesterday.
I think it was yesterday. So over the weekend, Rob Bass, great song, talented guy. He wasn't all that old, was he?
59.
59, my age. I'm 59. I could be dead today.
Oh, wow.
Talking about that, Trump has arrived at Walter Reed for his annual physical, and the media, who just can't lie enough, now they're talking about some rash. I don't know. All I can tell you is go to my Instagram at rosenberg.sidney, ROSENBERG.SIDNEY. Follow me. Go to my Twitter at Sid Rosenberg 19. Go to my Facebook, Sid Rosenberg, my Truth Social, Sid. And you're going to see some very up-close pictures and videos of me and Trump on Friday. 4 days ago. Okay? Not 4 months ago. I got plenty of those, too. Not 4 years ago. I got some of those, too. Just last Friday, thanks to Mike Lawler. And the president looked great. But the media says he's got a rash. He's, I don't know, he's dying. Stupid. So he's at Walter Reed right now getting his physical. Also right now, as we speak, in Newark, New Jersey, something Noam has been reporting on all morning long, these psychos, these animals are out there again protesting outside the immigration center, Noam. Have you seen that?
Yeah, they were there all weekend long. Some of them were trying to block the entrances to the Delaney Detention Center, which has brought people in before. This is not the first time there's been a protest out there, but it got out of hand. They tried to block the entrance to it over the weekend. These are people who have loved ones that are inside, and so police had to use pepper spray at one point. Some of that pepper spray hit Senator Andy Kim, who was there part of the protest yesterday.
Oh, screw Andy Kim. Who cares? Good.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
And they're claiming.
I actually just say good.
Yeah. They're claiming that that there are people inside that are on a hunger strike because the conditions inside are so awful. Now, Department of Homeland Security pushing back on that, saying, no, these are people who committed crimes. They came into the country illegally, and that's why they're being held until they figure out what to do with them.
Yeah.
And so it may not be the greatest place, but usually when you're held in detention, it's not the greatest place.
No, it's usually not. No. I'm tired of these people. I just don't care. God. I want to get to this Graham Plattner. You familiar with this guy?
Sure, out of Maine, yeah.
And this guy is a former service guy. And no one, maybe outside of Scott Lebedo, okay, no one is more respectful to our veterans than me. Nobody. Our cops, our veterans, all these people, you know. I love our veterans. But that doesn't mean every single one of them is great. I remember years ago there was some guy testifying on behalf of Biden about the soldiers that were murdered in Afghanistan. This guy was a clown. So this guy, Graham Plattner, is some, Jew-hating, America-hating. He actually said at one point that our veterans deserved to die. He didn't like whatever combat they were engaged in. He said our veterans deserve to die. Now, what kind of normal, decent soldier would ever say that, no matter what? Right? You think every soldier who went to Vietnam loved what they were fighting for? I can tell you the answer is no. I speak to Jack Jacobs, highly decorated. Same thing with Iran. It doesn't matter. These kids sign up, they're called for duty, and they fight for our country no matter what. This lowlife, Graham Plattner, who looks up to Bernie Sanders, who's traveling the country with Bernie Sanders on this ridiculous oligarchy tour. If I hear Bernie Sanders say that one more time, I'm going to punch that old face 10 times. Bernie Sanders is a millionaire. You know that, right? Bernie Sanders is a millionaire. Zoran Mamdani is a millionaire. It would be one thing if Bernie Sanders was making $50,000 a year. Then I'd respect him. But his nonsense about the oligarchy, he's a millionaire. He's got homes, I believe, in 3 different places. Who do you think he's kidding? AOC? Who is she kidding? She's a millionaire and grew up with a silver spoon in her mouth, not in the boogie down Bronx. So all these people that are out there yelling and complaining about millionaires, they're all millionaires. Have you noticed that? Now, this Graham Plattner is probably not, but he's a real douchebag. I mean, I hate this guy, and he served our country. That says a lot, no?
Well, he did, I think, 3 tours in Iraq.
I don't care. He's a real loser, this guy. A real loser. Graham Plattner. And then, I guess, a week from today, you have a bunch of primaries here in New York, New Jersey. My guy Alex Sedan, he's got a primary in an effort to take on Cory Booker in November. So if you're in New Jersey, make sure you vote for Alex Sedan. But the big one people are talking about, a week from today, Spencer Pratt out in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, and it seems like the wave is going in his direction now. Whether that'll hold out, if he can get people to the polls, that's another story.
He is winning the most recent polls over the incumbent, Karen Bass. Well, I don't know if that means anything, but he is. We're trying to get Spencer Pratt on this week. There's a very good possibility I'll have both mayoral candidate Spencer Pratt and gubernatorial candidate Steve Hilton, both of those guys, on my show this week because I'm a star and they love me. Is that right, Noam?
I mean, yeah, of course.
I
Yeah.
guess.
Anything you
know.
say. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Whatever you say. You are funny. You are funny. Who's your favorite guest on this show?
Joe Benigno's up there.
Well, he's coming up next.
I like Craig Carton a lot.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Craig is coming on.
I think Craig's great.
He'll be on Thursday. So you like all the FAN guys?
Yeah, I do like the FAN guys.
Yeah.
What's his name from the National Review?
Rich Lowry?
I think Rich Lowry is great.
He is great. He's on tomorrow. He's smart. He's
like
funny.
sensible. He's smart.
Yes. He is.
Yeah.
He's not one-sided like me. I agree with everything you just said. All 3 of those guys are great. Rich Lowry tomorrow, Craig Carton Thursday, and Joe Benigno, he's coming up next.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I had my opportunity once again to spend time with Trump. He called me up on stage. It's crazy. Andrew Giuliani talking about it last hour. He's really enjoyed watching this relationship blossom between me and the president. And he didn't know I was there until the very end. He saw me and he motioned to me, get up here. And I did. And we had a little conversation. I'm not going to tell you what we talked about. But regardless, Jaxson Dart is getting hammered all over New York today. His teammate Abdul Carter, who has not made a big play yet for the Giants. We drafted a linebacker again this year, Abdul. Abdul is out there killing Jackson. Abdul, shut up. Go sack the opposing quarterback. Shut your face. Nobody complain when you voted for Kamala Harris, you dumb bastard. Just go out there and play football. Shut up. And Leonard Green, the writer for the New York Daily News, he's a racist anyway. So I know Joe Benigno, the WFAN legend and now Sid Rosenberg contributor, he's a Jet fan, but I'm sure he loves Jaxson Dart today. Right, Joe?
Well, first of all, only for you will I talk about Jaxson Dart before I talk about the soon-to-be world champion Knickerbockers, okay? So I'm going to let that – it's only been 53 years, but let's talk about Jaxson Dart first, okay? I love Jaxson Dart, bro. I love this guy at Mississippi. I was so happy for the Giant fans when they drafted him. We should have drafted him. And I give him all the credit in the world for having the balls to go up there because he loves the country and he loves the president. And let me say this about Abdul Carter, okay? This is the guy, like you said, I'm waiting for him to make a big play for the Giants. This is the guy who, when he got drafted by the Giants, had the audacity to say, hey, I want number 56. No. And then LT, who's a big Trump guy, by the way, let me say that too. And then LT says, no, what are you, nuts? Go get your own damn number. This guy's about as close to LT, okay? You know what I'm saying, bro? Let's be honest about it, okay? He's not Abdul Carter has got a long way to go to be even a pimple on LT's ass.
LT?
Okay?
I mean, he did nothing last year. Nothing.
What's that?
He did nothing in his rookie season.
That's what
Nothing.
I said. He did nothing. And let me say this, too. Do you think if Jaxson Dart, and this is what ticks me off, too, if Jaxson Dart is up there introducing Barack Obama, he's getting praised.
That's right.
They're kissing his ass.
That's right.
And I heard this, too, and I don't know if this is true or not, okay, that the bump in his jersey sales has been off the charts.
That's
if
true.
I'm not mistaken, he's the number one selling jersey right now
That
in
is
the
true.
NFL.
That is true.
All right,
After
so
introduce-
let me
That's
throw
right.
that in there,
Yep.
too.
Yep.
God bless Jaxson Dart.
Yeah.
And you know what, bro? Even though I'm a Jet fan, I love my team. You know, there's no question about that. I hope that someday, okay, he delivers one for you, bro.
Thank you. I've got 4 out of 5 that was ugly against the Ravens.
You got 4.
Right.
I'm waiting for the first. Now, and right now, all I can think about is my basketball team, bro. What this team has done in this playoff run is unbelievable.
Well, let me stop you for 1 second before you go into the 11-game win streak and how they just bludgeon teams, even on the road in deciding games. It wasn't that long ago when my dear friend, the Radio Hall of Famer, Joe Benigno, you're getting in. I'm telling you, I have a lot of conversations.
I'm not in yet, bro. Let me tell you right now, Barry Bonds will be in Hall of Fame.
No. Don't be surprised if you're going with me. But anyway, we'll keep that to a different conversation.
That would be an honor to do.
There's a lot to talk about. I can promise you that. You got a lot of people. I'm serious. A lot of people out there rooting you on, including me. I'm not in either yet, but I'll get there, and so will you. But not that long ago, you said to me a couple of months ago, my greatest fear is I'm going to die. You're in your 70s.
Yeah,
and
72.
None of my teams are going to win a championship. The Mets aren't close. The Jets aren't close. The Rangers aren't close. And at the time, we thought the Knicks maybe were the 4th best team inside the conference. So guess what, Joe? That may change now.
Bro, I'm telling you, man. I got emotional last night. You know what I did after the game was over. I watched the ceremony. I had to go to the tunes and play a little New York medley. Okay, I played New York, New York by Frank, the anthem. A little New York State of Mind by Billy Joel, even though he talks about the New York Times and the Daily News. And I'm back in the New York groove by the late great Ace Frehley. I had to do a little bit of that. I know we're not there yet, but I got to tell you, bro, I don't care if it's the Spurs. I'd rather play the Spurs, and I'll tell you why. I'd rather play the Spurs because they beat us in 1999 and because of that complete a-hole scumbag who hates the country, Greg freaking Popovich. And I know he's not the coach anymore, okay? And he's got a lot to say about shit. Excuse me, I said I shouldn't say that. He's got a lot to say about it. You hope you cut me off when I said that word. He's got a lot to say about it. But boy, oh boy, do I want to stick one up his rear end. I got to tell you right now.
Me too. I can't stand him. No, I hate him. I hate Steve Kerr also.
I don't care who it is, but I want to beat the freaking Spurs.
Me too.
I want to stick it to Victor Wembanyama, who everybody kisses his freaking ass too.
Well, who do we? Who do we match up better against? Though?
Let me just say one more thing.
Yeah.
Okay, if you think that lottery wasn't fixed so the Spurs could get Wembanyama, you know what? Think again. Yeah. I don't care who we match up better against. You know, we got the best team. This is the best starting lineup in the NBA. This team goes 7-8 deep. They got 8 guys on this team, bro. Legitimately. 8 guys. I'll say 7. I don't want to say 8. I'll say 7. They got 7 guys on this team that I would be completely comfortable with for taking the shot to win a game at the buzzer. 7 guys. I got it 7 guys.
I don't disagree. Now, Stephen A. Smith, he and I become very close. I'm not sure if you like him or not. We're very close, and he'll be on this show this week, too. And he's a big Knick fan. He really is. He's not one of these guys that jumped on the bandwagon the last couple of weeks. So we're seeing a lot of those.
I go way back with Stephen. He used to go on my overnight show but when we were both basically nobodies, he came on my overnight show all the time.
Good. I didn't even know that. Good. That's good to hear because I love you both. And he said after the win last night that if Brunson wins the championship this year, it's time to talk about him being the greatest Knick ever. I would say slow down, but that's what Stephen A. Smith said last night.
Well, I wouldn't say. He goes on. I will say this. He probably goes beyond Patrick. I will give him that. I would put him beyond Patrick, still behind Clyde and Willis. Still behind those 2 guys. But he goes beyond Ewing, and what he has done for this franchise, let's be honest about this. You could make the case, in all due respect to Reggie Jackson, okay, and we talked about this, I think, last time. He's the greatest free agent signing in the history of New York sports. And how the Dallas Mavericks and I know you look, he was in his last year in Dallas. I know he was real good in the playoffs. I think he averaged 11 points a game. Nobody saw this guy turning into, one of the all-time greats. And I'm going to say this one more. How is this guy only second-team All-NBA? What? Come on. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I'm going to say this, too. You know this, too. They will be underdogs in this series against either team. You know that.
Well, Oklahoma City, they should be. They're the reigning champs.
Well, what does that mean?
What it means is they're back in the finals.
No, seriously, bro. They're going to be the underdog in this series no matter what.
Okay.
Because there's still people out there that don't respect this team. What they have done. Just think about this, bro. In the 3 closeout games of the series against Atlanta, Philly, and now Cleveland, Jalen Brunson hasn't played in the fourth quarter in any of those games.
That's right, and they won by over 20 in all of them. And look,
over 20,
over 30. Yeah, listen, I think they're going to win.
Hold on.
Wait.
They won by 51 against Atlanta.
Right.
They won by 30 against the Sixers, and they won by 37 last night against Cleveland.
I mean, but in all fairness, and again, I do think the Knicks are going to win the championship, and I love this team as much as you do. I'm not waiting as long as you are because I'm a little younger, but I'm waiting a long time. You would agree that whoever wins the Western Conference Finals has played much better basketball teams than the Knicks have.
Well, I guess.
Okay,
Atlanta
stinks. Philadelphia stinks.
Outside of San Antonio and the Thunder, who's so great in the West?
Nobody's great, but they're better than with the Knicks.
The Lakers?
You don't think you don't think Denver's better than Cleveland?
No, I don't.
Oh, yeah, they are. Yeah, they
come
are.
on.
Yeah, they
Give
are.
me Denver. We wiped the floor with them. Give me a freaking break.
I love it. Confident Nick.
Give me a break, bro. You know what, bro? I'm tired. I'm tired of the disrespect, okay? All right? And it is time now to exercise the ghost, okay, of Charles Smith, of Michael Jordan, of Reggie Miller, of Hakeem Olajuwon, of letting Pat Riley walk, of 20 years of the abyss, of Isaiah Thomas, of Roy Hibbert blocking Carmelo Anthony. It is time to exercise all the effing ghosts, bro.
I love this. So in the final 30 seconds, you're great, Joe. You're great. In the final 30 seconds.
Really, I'm fired up.
I love it. I love it.
How could I not
We're going to keep bringing you on throughout this whole process. But in the final 30 seconds, then, and I hate to bring it up because I don't think it's going to happen, but if either one of these teams, Oklahoma City or San Antonio, beats the Knicks, will this be one of the most disappointing losses in your lifetime?
Yes.
Wow.
No question about it.
Wow.
Because if this team, the way they are right now, you tell me, if this team doesn't win the championship, Sid, when the hell are they winning?
Will you tell me it's worse than when the Mets lost to the Dodgers in '88?
This would, you know what, bro? As good as that was pretty bad. Losing to the Dodgers was bad. And that's the worst loss in the history of the Mets. There's no doubt about it. But no team, just think about this, that I root for, has suffered more brutal playoff losses than this team. No team that I root for, and I'll say it again, more brutal playoff losses. And I don't want to start breaking them all down. I don't want to go through all of it, all the pain of the Ewing years. I don't want to do that, okay? But that's the bottom line. The playoff losses that this team has had, like I said, whether it's Charles Smith, whether it's the finger roll, it was the suspensions, the BS suspensions against the Heat, we could go on and on, bro. I mean, with the brutal play last year with Halliburton, with the shot going up and coming down. No.
I don't disagree.
Years,
I'm with you.
Know?
All right,
Okay?
we'll bring you back
All right,
in a
bro?
couple of days. I got to run.
This is it.
This is it.
right there. This is just a right there with the Jets. 53 freaking years. It is time for the parade, bro.
We will talk in a couple of days. As soon as we know who the Knicks are playing, we'll get you right back on. Does that work for you, Joseph?
Bro, you know it. I love you.
Love you,
and
too.
I'm going to say it one more time. Sid Rosenberg should be the mayor of New York City. I want to live to see my team win a championship, and hopefully it's this year. There you go. Great little Ace Frehley for you. And then I want to be at the induction when Sid Rosenberg becomes the mayor of New York.
I love you. You'll sit there with Ralph Romeo. He loves you. He loves the podcast you guys do together. I promise his lovely wife I'd mention him. Anyway, we're done for today. Joe Benigno, amazing job as always. We'll talk again in a couple of days. The great Joe Benigno, WFAN. Lou Rapino, as always, terrific. Justin Ellick, great job. Noam Layden, you too. John Terrett, all the crew. God willing, as Gene would say, we'll all be back for a Wednesday show tomorrow morning. We got a great guest list. I've got the big MJA Experience Honor coming up tomorrow night. Till then, folks, let's go Knicks. Peace.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?